Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 368. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, alongside Johnny V, back here in the Milwaukee studios. And I got to say, it's officially fall here, and it feels good.
I don't know if it's officially fall here yet, Terry Miller. Like, today was 80 degrees, and this week it's going to be mid-80s to upper 80s.
Okay, I'll give you that. But
it's
on the way here.
They call it Indian summer. Well, like, usually when you get like the summer temperatures into September, mid to late September, they call that Indian summer. It's like a second summer almost. But I am looking forward to fall.
Okay, so then I'll clarify to the evening time. It's
good. It's a comfy
in the 60s right now.
It is.
It is very comfortable out, and it was dark relatively early. I just left my daughter's volleyball thing. It wasn't her game. It was but anyway. And not only was it dark relatively early, but the temperatures are cool. They're very pleasant here in Wisconsin. So
I'm happy. I'm happy with the temperatures. We're getting into we're getting into some really comfy times when it's fun to sit outside. Maybe, tomorrow I think we've got this campfire thing that's being delivered, so we'll have ourselves a nice little campfire coming up pretty soon. We should do a live stream by the campfire. I don't know how we bring
I feel like
guests,
I've done one of those, and yeah, we could do something like that. One way or another, we could make it work. So thank you guys for joining us, of course, as always. We would love it if you would hit that little like button. I guess that helps with some kind of algorithms. Then maybe share it. Maybe a friend or two.
Subscribe on Twitch.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it's at. Twitch usually is where all the fun is. And of course, if you want to listen to it and actually hear us, like a full 1 second ahead of time, Twitch is where it gets out.
Twitch does tend to have a lower lag time than the other streaming platforms that we're on.
There you go. So if you want to know what's coming before it
Periscope,
gets there.
Yik Yak, we're on all of them. TikToks.
Yep.
We're on all of them. We're doing dances. We are everywhere, Terry. Okay, we're not none of those.
All right. Well, tonight should be a really exciting show for you. We're going to have none other than our 2021 GMC MPO winner, Chris Dickerson.
Wait, he won?
He sure did.
I was kidding.
I know. We can't negate his other 145, 146 other wins, but this somehow was his first win for a regular series, Elite Series event. It's just always so weird to say it's his first win on the Pro Tour.
Because he has 2 championships.
Exactly. And, of course, he's won the USDGC, but to say regular season sounds weird, but it kind of
it's like winning the World Series without winning a playoff game somehow. I don't know how he did it, but...
He's got some magical powers. So we're going to have Chris join us in just a few moments. He's graciously coming to us a little bit later because it's on the East Coast, or it is later there. So he's coming to us from the East Coast. And then if we can, we may have another special guest. We're trying to coordinate it and make it work that we can have our Tim Selinsky FP40 winner, and that, of course, being Jen Allen in insane fashion. If somehow you missed it, we might be able to cue it up for you later, but Jen Allen is looking to join us.
Of the holy shot.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And in just crazy dramatic fashion. So we'll break down a little bit of the Tim Selinsky action, and like I said, hopefully we'll be checking in with Jen. She said she should be available, and it's great because she's on the more west. She's out in the Arizona, so it won't be quite as late. So without further ado, we don't need to stall any longer. He's here. He's ready to go.
He's in our Disc Baron digital green room.
He sure is. Thank you to Disc Baron for all of your support. Coming at us now, our GMC champion, Chris Dickerson. Hi.
Hey, how are y'all doing?
Great. How you doing?
Not bad.
So, how does it feel to you as we kind of trip over this, introduction and trying to relate it to others? How does it feel to you that you've won an event of this size now, or of this significance?
It feels pretty good. And like you all were saying, it's a little bit different being in the regular season than doing it in the postseason. So, yeah, it was good.
Do you have any, and I'm sorry, I didn't even look, do you have any NT wins under your belt? None? No. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Ouch, salt in the wound right off the bat.
Well, I just wanted to think, because now they're all considered Elite Series.
Exactly,
you have the NT and the VGPT. It's only, so this is your official first Elite Series win. Mm-hmm. You have Is it just like kind of for you checking off a box? I mean, I think everybody on this side of the camera will say just expected you to get one at some point with your the number of wins you have and your skill level, and you just have it, or did it mean something more that you finally have that DGPT win?
I would say a little bit of both. It is kind of like, it's good to, like you said, check off the box, put it behind me. But it's also good to say like, hey, I did it. Finally did it.
I was just going to count, and maybe so I don't have to. Do you know how many A-tier wins that you have?
No idea.
All right.
Terry's
Well,
gonna
I want you to
on the
recap
air.
all of them. All right, let's start. No, I'm just kidding.
Start in 2018.
Okay.
No, I mean the XA is the Pro Tour Championship, so that's kind of what we were just talking about a moment ago. But going all the way back to your first A-tier pro win shows me 2015, the Volunteer Classic. So I'm going to go up from there. Huck Central 2, 3, 4.
This one's AB.
9, 10, 11, 12,
That count?
14, 15, 16.
It was probably
19.
A for.
I've got roughly 19. Of course, you've got the major in the USDGC last year. You're somewhere around like 19, 20 A-tier wins. Okay. Talk to us about Vermont and playing at Smugs, because everybody's got a story or a description for it. Give us yours.
So the first time I came up there, I enjoyed it, but I didn't really enjoy Fox Run that much. However, over the past, I think I've been there 4, maybe 5 times, counting Worlds. It's grown on me. Fox Run is now probably my favorite open style course. It is long. It has a lot of rope, a lot of OB, but it also is kind of technical as well.
And then when you compare that, I mean, give us a description of Brewster and then I guess your preferences.
Oh, yeah. Brewster Ridge is pretty much the exact opposite of Fox Run. That is what makes them a good combination. One, you're playing in the woods the entire round. The other one, you're playing in the open the majority of the round. At the end, you get 2 holes that are technically wooded holes. The rest, you could probably call hole 3 a wooded hole as well. But the majority is open. But it's a good mix. Both courses, they add something different to the tournament. So it tests everything.
Now, I'm the first opponent of having 4-round non-majors. I'm the first guy to say I don't care for it. You guys, especially with the way our tour is growing and with the demands and the challenges that are put on you guys, because you're playing at least 3 very intense rounds of golf, and then you're probably talking about a travel day there, a travel day away from there, and at least 1, if not 2, practice days. And very quickly, there goes the 5 or 7 days out of a week, and then you're doing it all again the next week. Is this just the classic scenario where someone's like, yeah, cool, Terry, shut up. We need to play 2 at each because these courses equal each other out?
So I think in this instance, yeah, we need to play 2 at each because they are, in my opinion, and I mean, I would hope I can speak for the majority of the field. They're both really good courses. Now, if they weren't good courses, I could see leaving 1 round out and only playing one of the 2 one time out of the 3 days that a normal Pro Tour is. But I think it also has to do with the travel time, like you mentioned. We came from Maple Hill. It was only 3 hours from there to Smuggler's Notch. So that's not a big deal at all. You could do that the night after the tournament, the next day early, and you can still get 2 practice rounds in. So if it's a short drive like that, I don't mind 4 rounds. However, let's see, what was it? Ledgestone. Ledgestone was 4 rounds, two different courses, and it was a 13-hour drive from the preserve to Ledgestone, and two basically 2 days to practice, counting Monday as like a driving day. So I prefer the
Exactly.
way
And I
Vermont
know
was
that
done.
that factored into your decision for ultimately skipping the preserve, not going over there to play that, to turn around and come back to where Ledgestone was. And then you went to, and I don't think you were necessarily getting at this, but you went on to say, if they're two great courses, you openly said you didn't care for Northwood Black maybe as much as some of the other competitors did out there. But is that exactly what Nate, do you feel like he's at least going for? Is this very tight wooded course and then the absolute contrast by being out at Eureka? Do you kind of see the similarities there?
It is similar. Like you said, one course is completely wooded. The other course, Eureka, is basically open. Northwood Black could be a really great course in the next couple of years. It could take a few tweaks, some beating down the fairways, kind of maybe widening them at some points, maybe making the 90 degrees turns not so sharp, maybe cutting out the corners just a little bit. But you could definitely tweak the course to make it a great course. So I think it will get there.
Yeah, and again, that's where I just keep thinking about the travel times, where people are going, what the tour looks like, and when there's two good courses, let's say Northwood evolves into a phenomenal course in your eyes and a really good complement to what we see at Eureka. Nate's going to probably continue to want to see people playing 2 rounds at each. And I don't know, again, I like Nate. I like the tournament. I think everything's great, but the timing of it all and when are we picking and choosing? And then I guess I'll kind of bring it up and say, I think a Steve Dodge would love to see 4 rounds or 3 rounds plus a cut at Maple Hill. That's just one course. Do you think that warrants playing there 3 or 4 times?
Let's see. It's been such a long time since there was a cut at Maple Hill, and I don't remember if it was 4 rounds or if it was just three. But Maple Hill used to be this prestigious tournament that if you made the cut, you got paid.
Mm-hmm.
So you made it to the last day of the tournament, you were getting cash, and that's what everybody kind of looked forward to. And I don't know why they went away from that, but I don't know. I think if it's just one course, it doesn't really need to be a 4-day tournament unless it's uh, a major.
Okay.
But you never know. Things can happen.
Well, I mean, I've got you. I already wrote down the quote for when I go to make my big speech about 3-day. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's always interesting getting perspective, and I know so many people. That's why I kind of bring it up. Is so many people love the contrast and love the compliments that these two courses are up in Vermont, and then I always think too, it's at the end of the year. When our players things are starting to kind of wind down in some ways, or maybe fatigue may be setting in or injury, but yet we're winding things down. But then we ramp back up for a couple of really big events. So, yeah, I guess we'll see. Now you're a guy. This all kind of ties right into. You're a guy who plays damn near every weekend. Like you are a road warrior in that sense, that even when you're home or you're not on the tour, almost every single weekend you're playing. Do you see yourself keeping that pace? And if not, what would slow you down?
So I've actually slowed down a little bit this year, and you can kind of thank Brittany for that a little bit because she's like, you should really take some time and rest instead of going and playing this B tier or this C tier close to home. Um, if it were up to me, I would try and play every single weekend because that's why I played disc golf, because I love playing. I love competing, but there are times where if you do feel like You're injured, you need to rest. Taking time off is a good thing. If you feel like you're getting burnt out, you need to take some time off. But for me, I love playing disc golf, and the more I can play, the better, I think.
Is there something to be said about, or something that you feel inside about playing more when you're quote unquote playing hot? And for whatever reason it is, at the bigger events, you tend to start playing better towards the end of the season. I mean, you play well all season, but it really feels like September, October, that's Dickerson season. And do you feel like this is the time when most players are getting burnt out that you're starting to like, I know I want to play every week. I'm shooting like, 1060 golf, 1070 golf. Let's keep going.
That very well could be. Like you mentioned, it's the end of the season. People are, ready to go home and start their off season. So, maybe they're not completely there mentally. Maybe they're just ready for the season to be over. And I think that's kind of why, um, whenever the season starts up, you'll see a few hotter rounds. It's because people are hungry to get back out there and play disc golf.
What would you, well, does the tour flow in a sense that is logical for you? And I know you don't necessarily go to some of the stops, but do you, regardless of maybe your personal travel schedule, do you think that the tour and the way in which it's formed, does it all make sense?
I think here recently it's made more sense than in the past. And yeah, I don't make it out to the West Coast because of how expensive the places to stay out there, the travel, and all that stuff. But it's got to be equal. It's got to be fair. If there's going to be tournaments on the East Coast that are big, there has to be tournaments on the West Coast that are big. It's only fair. And eventually, every year it starts out West Coast in Arizona, California, and it works its way to the middle. And by the end of the season, we're on the East Coast for where we're at now, Vermont, Maple Hill, and then USDGC. So I think it is fair. It is moving in the right direction as far as a good flow.
I know it's months out, maybe 3, 4 months out. Do you see the start of the season? Do you see yourself changing up your game plan and going west at all next year, or dabbling in a few more events, or some or all of them? Is that something that's even on the table as a debate internally or externally?
A little bit. So at the beginning of this year, the Pro Tour did the All-Star event that was in Arizona at Fountain Hills.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never played the Memorial. I've never really wanted to go play the Memorial because it looks like a wide open birdie or die course. But whenever I was invited to the All-Star event, me and Brittany got on a plane and headed out to Arizona for a week. So the traveling wasn't bad. One of my biggest fears about traveling was flying, and it wasn't bad at all. So I could see myself going to more events on the West Coast, but I still have to think about the money that goes into it.
Yeah, and you've been very, I say, candid about you want your disc golf travel and then money and whatnot. You want it to all make sense, like dollars and cents, pardon the pun. Like, to go out there to the West Coast to spend a lot more money. Basically everything's more expensive. Obviously both of our coasts can be expensive, but to go out there and spend the kind of money you would, especially if you're not pulling your trailer behind, and you're not pulling your trailer, because that would also be expensive, just in a different way. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you've always been a money conscious? I don't know if you consider yourself cheap or frugal or any of the better or not words to describe it, but have you always been money conscious?
I think for the most part, yes. So it's I've always been not I wouldn't call it cheap. I've just never really felt the need to spend money on lots of different things. Like
Gold
for example,
chains, a grill,
right? Yeah,
maybe.
all the all the flashy stuff. Yeah. For example, this shirt I've had it for I don't know 4 or 5 years, and you know it doesn't have holes in it yet, so it's doing pretty good. Why would I buy another one to replace it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I just hope that somewhere right now your Yeezys are resting. You can kick off your shoes for the day. No, I mean, and again, I want to reiterate, I consider myself flat out cheap sometimes. And I want to reiterate, like, I think that's great. We've all talked about, Ricky Wysocki, just within the family in which he grew up with. He's always been very money conscious, and I think that's smart, and that's why I want to say it's not a negative connotation. I think some people immediately assume it is, but if you're literally budgeting it out and trying to see how this makes sense for you, your future, your career, your wife, your family, all of that stuff, like that shouldn't be looked upon negatively. It's just what's crazy about it is within our sport, the fans are clamoring for you. Everyone says, where's Dickerson? We want him out on this side of the country because you're one of our best players in the world. But yet, there's a good portion of the country that doesn't see you.
And is there more pressure now that with the Pro Tour, and we don't know what it's going to look like next year, but with the Pro Tour doing this large end of season payout, to get into that top 8, it's getting more and more difficult. You can't just hit half of the events or even practically 3/4 of the events. You almost have to hit them all to get that first round bye. So is there a little added pressure for you there?
Yeah, like you said, there are a lot more people touring now than there was 2, 3 years ago. So missing those West Coast events, it is a lot harder to move up in the standings, even if you do play well. So yeah, it's definitely a thought to make it out to a couple of them just to get the point. Yeah.
And so I guess that kind of leads into the whole conversation. You were talking to Jeff after you had won, not even necessarily knowing where this was going to place you, but when it's all said and done, you've moved into 10th place on the Pro Tour standings overall. Just in front of you is Nicola Castro. You have a bye to the quarterfinals. I mean, do you look? I'm looking at your standings right now, and I see all these gaps for what we were just saying. How comfortable are you with that 10th place finishing, knowing, hey, I just showed up to some of these and I still managed to whoop a few hundred people?
Whenever it comes to making the Pro Tour finals, as long as I get into it, I'm happy. I don't really care if I have to play all 4 days or if I just have to play the last day. So I don't know. I think
you just want to be more
if,
of the story. You're like I want to be that guy that shows up and grinds it out and then whoops all these people all the way up through the ranks. I mean,
been there, done that.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't you take care of that a few years ago? You don't need that story anymore.
So somebody actually pointed out to me that both years that I won, I came into the seeding in 17th place.
Mm.
So maybe I should shoot for 17th place.
Yeah, be like, hey, Matt Bell, you want to trade places? As he's sitting there, Gavin Rathbun right behind him, Jeremy Coling, and Paul Ulibarri. So in 17th through 20th. Yeah, so that is interesting. That's one less round, like you're just saying, that you'll ultimately have to play. So let's talk a few specifics. I see Johnny's got this weekend's numbers up. I mean, obviously, overall solid performance. Was there a time? I know you never get comfortable when all these people are chasing you, but is there a sigh of relief? Is there a time where you're like, wow, I am a contender. I really do think I can pull this off. Did that click for you at any particular point throughout the entire weekend?
the only time I really was thinking about scores at all was during the last round. I went into the round. I knew I had a 5-stroke lead, and I think it was hole 2. I dropped a 4 strokes, but then I got it back on hole 3. So usually I don't keep up with what I'm shooting at all, but I think whenever you pay attention, you need to know exactly what you and the people around you are doing throughout the round. So I kept an idea of what my scores were and what Ricky was doing, and I started to feel comfortable. I think I had a 7-stroke lead, and that was just before I bogeyed hole 11. So, and he birdied it, so that was a 2-stroke swing.
Is that when the comfort kind of started to go away a little bit? I mean,
well, a little bit, but I was still like, you still have 5. That's what you started the round with. You're shooting the same round so far, and then Ricky makes a huge putt on the next hole and cut it to 4. So right about then, that's when I started to get a little worried, and I was like, well, I know that's not one of my best holes out at Fox Run, hole 12. So I didn't really expect to birdie it, but it's kind of like a bonus birdie for me. It's not that I don't have the distance or anything like that to get there. It's just I don't know. Me and that hole don't really click. But I figured going into the remainder of the course, as long as I got a couple birdies, I should be okay.
Well, I'll start with one piece. There was a number of people within one of the chat boards that was just screaming about how biased I was, saying that essentially I was rooting for you and or anti-Ricky or something of that nature. I didn't read every comment, but somehow
that's not really professional of you. You shouldn't do that.
I know, apparently, and I maybe I should go back and listen. I'd love just to know where they get that from. I don't know if that's because we're talking about the lead that you have or saying how big of a challenge it is for Ricky at any point to erase a 5-stroke lead or even still be down 3, whatever the case might be. But
it might be when you cheered for his bogey.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, Rick, got a bogey. And to me, it's crazy. Because of course I like you. I like Ricky. I always say we do want to see the best golfer and the best golf win. But I thought that was funny that was being hammered home by a few people. Now, there's also this thing where people were really worked up about the quote unquote commentator jinx because moments before 11 had happened, Nate was continuing to talk about your lack of bogeys, which is so impressive. And I'm sure people maybe drew from that of like, oh, look at them stroking this guy. He hasn't had a bogey in 64 holes. Like, who cares? Why are you such a fan? I mean, like, it's just so dumb. I don't know where they get it. But anyway, can you dispel some of that? Like, it's not like you're listening to us.
Maybe he is.
Yeah, maybe you are. But what do you make of that? Is there anything you can emphatically say to the fans that basically is a polite way to say shut the F up? Or maybe you believe in it and somehow is creeping into your bag and your mind in your hand.
Well, I can put it this way. So I didn't know anything about it, but it was said and it happened. So apparently there's some truth to. Nah,
yeah,
just kidding.
There you go.
Dang it! All right.
I mean, do you?
No,
Chris? Are you a baseball fan at all?
No,
I wasn't. Because there's always the big thing, like the Brewers just had a no hitter, and you don't talk about the no hitter. That's the whole jinx. Like
at what inning?
Yeah, at any inning. Like if you just basically for baseball, I don't think you ever mention the term no hitter. I just think you just don't do it. It's
okay.
Whether it's the first inning, the third inning, or the eighth inning. I mean,
because a no hit, that's a stupid thing to worry about in the third inning.
I understand, but I don't know, but I mean, this is the same. This is the same type of concept. Like, is a bogey-free round the same as a no-hitter? Like, you just don't talk about it. For you guys, I don't feel that way because most of our courses, if you get a bogey, it's a mistake. Period. Like, looking at the way our professional players have been playing these courses over the last couple of years, any bogey is a mistake. So.
All right, so walk us through specifically 11, because not only did the quote-unquote jinx take place, but it confused the heck out of all of us. So walk us through what was and wasn't said and how it unfolded.
So first, what was the confusing part? Was it, I heard...
It was the second OB, I believe.
The second OB was ultimately the most confusing part, because we're like, at one point it showed you at a 6 and then it went down to 5, and we thought you for sure saved the 4. We didn't know if a U-discer wasn't sure. Just the fact that you were out of bounds and it didn't seem like there was anything said or done about it on the secondary one. Just almost everything about it. We were truly just baffled as to what was happening.
Okay. Yeah, so I threw my drive out there, and I was wanting to get straight around with the gap the second day, whereas the first day I threw it a little bit too straight, and I thought, if I do that, a chance I could throw it out of bounds long if the disc starts to turn a little bit. So it was a crosswind from right to left. So basically what happened was I didn't get the disc to turn at all. And whenever it started to hyzer, the wind pushed it just enough for it to skip just a little bit out of bounds. It's the first one. I was throwing 3 from a good landing zone, actually. But the way that green is, you want to just clear the rocks at the beginning of the gap, because it's downhill quick and there's not rock. In the basket, there's maybe 100 feet, but where it's dropping downhill, you've really got to throw a soft shot. Whenever I threw the upshot, I knew it was a little long. There might be about 25 feet behind the basket, but like I said, still downhill, so the momentum is going to continue. I heard a tree on it would have been my third throw. So I heard a tree and I was like, that didn't sound like it made it to the out of bounds. I should have a putt for par. And I never really got a signal from the spotter. We walk up there and the spotter comes up and tells me, hey, your second shot or your shot down there, and it's over the line. So I haven't went back and watched any video on it. If it did hit a tree, it deflected off that tree out of bounds. I'm not saying that if it wouldn't have hit the tree, it would have been in bounds, because I think the tree might have been the only thing stopping it from. I did throw it a little hard, but either way, it ended up out of bounds. Took her in. So third shot out of bounds, putting for a 5. I was putting for 5 from like 25 feet away, and I make that. So at first, the U-disc guy thought that I did not throw it out of bounds. He thought I saved my par. Then somebody told him I did throw it out of bounds. He thought bounds, and I missed my putt. So it would have been a 6.
Oh, yeah, because we saw the scores.
Yeah, we saw it switch to a 6 for a second.
The score started freaking out at first, and we were all confused as to what was going on.
Yeah, so after that hole was over, we walked to the tee pad the next hole. Everyone you did trying to get the course. And we eventually came to the same conclusion that, I threw the first one out. I threw what was my third shot out, and I made the putt from there, which was a 5.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, and for it makes sense for everything that as you just described it. Is we in the booth, Nate Dawson and I both thought you saved the par, And then when we saw it briefly switch to a 6, like, that's weird. And then it ended on a 5. I'm like, what's going on here? And then we had to, I think Nate actually had to text Jeff Spring, who we knew was, right there on site, wondering what had happened. So we never saw you, at least on camera, we never saw you step off or bring it in from OB on your, what would have been your second throw or your third, whatever. We never saw you do that. Were you already... Yeah, you must have just done that before our camera cut to you. Maybe that saved all the confusion. But we still wouldn't have known because you could have been within a meter of the circle and still taken your relief, but we had no idea.
Yeah, the OB line back there, especially, like I said, with the downslope where the camera guys were at, it was probably really hard to be able to see the OB line. And I don't know if there are stakes down. There probably are stakes, but I bet they're spread out more than so it'd be really hard to see the OB line.
And I'm sorry, maybe you cut out when we're going through a little glitch right now, but how far OB were you? How far past the line then were you when you got down there?
I was an inch or two. Wasn't very far past the line at all.
Wow. Okay. All right. So our confusion wasn't... Normally, I don't make too many excuses, but our confusion seemed perfectly warranted then because we had no idea. I don't think I know we never saw a flag or anything of that nature to give us any indication. And just to clarify, you said when you were walking down there, that's when the guy let you know? Was that when you first learned of it as you were walking to your lie? Okay.
Yes.
Well, we moved past that hole, and you birdie hole 13 and take 2 pars on 12 and 14. Ricky gets the next 3 of them, starts to make it tight, and then at hole 15, real quick, let me look at it. Hole 15 is the tight dogleg right. Ricky gets caught up on the right into the trees. You get up there for a par, and at that point, I'm thinking this is game over. Like, that bogey clearly just ended it. There's nothing we can do anymore. We've got 2 holes to go. Chris has a decent stroke lead, or 3 holes to go. And then 16, you kind of got stuck there. You went OB. You had funny footing off your drive. You landed in the drive, kind of landed in a little bit of a ravine-ish. Like, it wasn't deep. I mean, it was just kind of a rut almost. And you had an issue with your upshot where you threw it straight out of bounds. Was that due to your footing, or was it was kind of an in-between shot? What happened on that second shot that caused you to go OB? Was it just a bad throw, or?
It was just a bad throw. Little ravine. It's kind of, so whenever people walk by and they kick rocks, they all filter through the bottom of that. So there were a few down there, but I did my best to clear them out. I had no no problem with slipping or anything like that on that shot. But as soon as I let it go, I was like, why did you throw it so low? It was just a bad shot.
Because there was debate about you laying up even.
But so that was supposed to be a layup, but it was supposed to be a layup to the outside into the grass instead of the end of the mouth, end of the tunnel.
When you did, I mean, right out of your hand, did you know that it was heading for OB, or that's what was going to be the result?
There was a chance that could have been in bounds. So there are some trees on the left side of that gap. I turned just in front of those. So with those bushes
they're at a hotel.
On the OB line, there was a good chance it would have been in bounds, but I did hit one of those bushes and it didn't have any kind of forward momentum at all, and it just short of the OB probably 3-4 feet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I mean, at that point, then you take a 6. Ricky takes the birdie. He has the most perfect drive and the most perfect approach. Well, not the most perfect approach. I think he had to hit about a 30-footer, but that's inside. We all know that's inside Ricky range. At that point, it was what, a two-stroke? It was, or was it 3 at that point? Looked like it was. I think it was 2 strokes.
It was
2 to go.
2 strokes. Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable at this point? Like, do you think I have 2 holes, I've got 2 strokes, knowing, or maybe obviously, the conversation with Jeff Spring, 18 is just around the corner. Anything can happen on 18. We saw it with some of your competitors. Some people hit 30 feet in bounds and skip OB. You hit about 5 feet in bounds and stayed in bounds on 18.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any worry when you let go of that disc on 18?
There was a little bit of worry. So from experiences in years past, I really want to make sure that drive goes left. Because if you get the drive turning at all, there's a good chance that it's going to be out of bounds. Most of the time, it's a headwind on that hole, and you're throwing quite a bit downhill. So both of those things are going to make the disc fly more understable. So I really just wanted to make sure that the disc was going to hyzer, and if it did go out of bounds left, at least I advanced 400 feet or so. So I did notice. So I think Presnell's drive was similar to mine. The only difference that I could have seen between our drives, mine was a little bit higher. So I did intentionally try and throw it higher. That way it doesn't try to take a huge skip. It comes in as more of a spike. But, sometimes the ground does weird things. I would have expected his to stay in as well. But like I said, sometimes the ground just does weird things.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel? To me, positioning was so crucial on that final approach shot. How did you feel about you going first versus Ricky? Because if it were reversed, I feel like it's just, it could be a totally different dynamic for when you're, walking up to that approach shot. How did you feel about going first versus Rick?
I knew that person going first could either put the pressure on or completely open the door for the other. And like you said, if the roles were reversed and Ricky would have put his shot close, that would have made me put my shot at least close enough to try and make a putt. Because I think having him by, I don't know, I know we said 2, but it may have just been 1.
Was it 1?
You
had a 2-stroke swing on the final hole.
Oh yeah,
so,
it was.
And
it
you
was
won
1
by
stroke.
3. So
it was
yeah.
1 stroke at that last hole. You're right. It was 1 stroke.
Yeah. So with 1 stroke, if Ricky would have went first, put his close, that would have made me put mine close and hit a putt. If we would have both birdied, I would have won by 1. But the reason that Ricky went for that 2 opportunity was because I put my upshot close enough to make a putt, and he's not going to lay up basically and try and maybe I miss this putt. He wanted to try and tie it up, and I think I would have done the same thing. But yeah, the first person to throw the furthest from the basket has the opportunity to put the pressure on the other. Or, like I said, if they throw a bad shot, they just completely open the door.
And you stepped up and you executed. I mean, all that pressure, you flip that over, you throw that out of bounds, anything happens there, it hits near the basket, somehow rolls way deep, rolls out of bounds. I mean, there's so many more things that could have made it, dare I say, that much more exciting for Ricky and or the fans, and you just closed the door. You sealed the deal. And how good did that feel when you released that shot or saw it land?
Yeah, whenever I released it, I remember thinking to myself that this is the quietest it's ever been on a disc golf course. And that's during a tournament playing around by myself. I'm the only one else. I mean, usually if I'm playing a practice round, I'll hear like birds, whatever else. There's maybe a creek or something like that. But for some reason, with that shot, there was 200 people or so around me, and I do not remember a single sound sticks out. It was the throw I've been a part of.
That
and I could be completely wrong. There could have been noises going on, but to me, it was very quiet.
Well, that's funny you say that because that's right next to the parking lot. You said all the people are there. We've seen, I mean, yep. I don't think anybody was talking. I don't recall ever hearing anything on the broadcast, but there had to be some ambient noises just from people and breathing and, just the aura of everyone around, cars doing whatever. And you're saying you didn't hear a single thing, which makes me believe that that's focus. You were, as they say, completely focused in on your objective. You blocked the whole world out, which is exactly what they try to tell you to do, and most people can't do it. So that's I guess that goes to show you the level of intensity and focus that you had at that last shot.
Yeah. So there's a good and a bad thing to that. It's a good thing whenever you're playing a sport by yourself, but I can tell you also from experience, whenever you're playing a team sport, it's not great. I remember playing basketball, and I got called a ball hog quite a bit because, I just didn't hear anybody.
It's that focus and intensity, I guess.
Yeah. You don't think it's weird? There's like 5 guys on you, and there's 4 others teammates wide open, and like I don't hear a thing. All I see is the hoop. All right. Did you and Brittany have any conversation, whether it was sitting over the lie or pre-shot? Was there anything exchanged between the two of you?
Before the upshot?
Yeah.
No. I think walking from hole 17 to 18, I asked what the score was. I had a pretty good idea, but I wanted to confirm. And then after I threw the shot, as we were walking, it was after Ricky threw his shot. I wanted to confirm again what the score was. So I didn't know that my shot was like closer to 10 feet than it was, let's say 25.
Mm-hmm.
Because, usually a 25-foot putt, even if you do miss it, the worst things aren't going to happen. However, that green, it sets on a little bit of an elevated plateau, and the hill slopes off behind it straight to OB. So I did think about just laying up that putt, but whenever I stepped up to it, I actually told Matty-O as I was walking up to it, I was like, I'll go ahead because I'm just going to lay it up. And then as soon as I marked it, I looked up and I saw how close the basket was. And I said, nah, I'll just go ahead.
It's almost more dangerous to lay it up at that point. Because if you're that close on that slope of a green, you think, I could lay it up, I could catch a twig, a rock, a stick, and roll OB, or I could just hit the chains, and the odds of, there's a much higher percentage that you're going to make it, but even if you fall out, then you're playing with those odds. But because you're not, from that distance, someone of your caliber isn't going to airball it or anything like that, unless the nerves truly got to you. But that doesn't seem like your style. So, yeah, I'll just go. Don't worry about it. I'll just finish this off.
But the problem with that is, let me interject. The problem when you do that is you throw the world out of whack because it's this customary politeness, sportsmanship where everybody else taps in and then the winner taps in last. And I'll be totally transparent. That also helps the broadcast a little, make things a little bit more crisp and clear as to how it's unfolding. And then you're like, well, and I remember Doss was like, he was kind of baffled. We're all like, yeah, what's going on here? And I guess your explanation now makes sense.
Yeah, so that did not cross my mind up until I was getting the disc out of the basket. And as soon as I made that putt, I realized first, I was like, tournament's over, you did it. And then I was like, wait a second, the rest of my card still has to tap out. I did this completely backwards.
Is that awkward? Is that an awkward feeling? Like, it is ingrained in us in these major events that the winner just putts last, unless there's a big one to win it or something like that. But you had it. Ricky was OB. There was nothing he was going to be able to do to catch you. Is it strange for everybody in your card, or is it just strange for you?
They're like, look at this effing guy. What is this noob doing?
He's never won an Elite Series. Doesn't he know how to finish the crap off?
Yeah, he's like, act like you've been here before. What is this, your first time?
That's the Haley King move right there, because Haley King does that. She gives 0 Fs. She's like, I don't care if I'm 12 feet out or if I'm 30 feet out. If it's my turn to putt, I'm putting it in, and she doesn't care. So,
I mean, I can't speak for anyone else on the card, but it was pretty awkward for me after I realized what had happened. And I was walking back to put my disc in the bag, and Jeff was like, "Hey, we need you for the trophy ceremony." And I was like, "Yeah, let me put these up and I'll be right back." And I was still just thinking to myself, I was like, "Dang, you did this completely wrong. You did it completely backwards."
Well, you didn't, because you won, and that's what you are there for. You're not necessarily there for traditions and for media obligations. You're there to win, and clearly you got that done. But yeah, it just twists everybody a little bit. It also twists the crowd, because the loudest cheers, in theory, should be for the winner, and it's hard for them to erupt to then have like all these other losers tap in yet.
Oh, no.
Okay, non-winners.
How I know this is kind of a funny question, but she's always by your side towards the end of the rounds. I know she's got a job to do during some of the earlier rounds. How nervous was Brittany? Because we showed her a few times on the broadcast, especially right on that 18th hole, walking down with you, standing behind you while you're about to make that shot, and she looks uncomfortable. Did you have any conversations with her about that after the shot?
No, not really. But I do know that she shows her emotions. So the disc could be in the air. There could be like no OB in sight at all. And if it was a close round, let's say like one stroke, she worried. So she would still probably have that kind of look on her face. But yeah, I have heard that before, and a few people did mention it after the round.
From the broadcasting side, my job is to try to build up the drama and find the emotion in any spot we can get it, whether it's the competitor, whether it's the person winning, losing, or the significant other, as we've seen in the past. We've done it with Hannah Macbeth when she's standing there, and she's usually pretty stoic, but she tends to show her emotion now and again. And Brittany was the same way. She was standing behind you, and she just green is almost the wrong word. She looked nervous. Does that affect you at all? Like, do you look back at her and be like, "Stop that! Like, just
I got this.
Come on, we got our game face on here."
Most of the time, I don't look to see what her reaction is, because I already have a pretty good idea of whether it's a good shot or a bad shot. It's going to be similar. One quick funny story. So I played at the Brent Hambrick Memorial. Absolutely.
Wow!
There's from the peanut gallery, a big no comes in.
All right,
go on. Now we have
to hear it.
Yeah,
it's happening. I'm sorry.
It's happening.
This is why people tune into Smashbox.
So,
yes.
She keeps saying 2016. So Brent Hambrick Memorial 2016. she's walking with me during one of my rounds, and I think so. The Hamburg is a 27-hole course, and I was maybe through 4 or 5 holes, wasn't really putting very good so far, and she says something like, "I don't know why you use that pink putter; it doesn't go in." And that's 5, 6 holes into my round. That's not like the confidence boost that you need. So it completely changed my round. I shot amazing after that. I putted basically lights out, because after every putt, I turned around and I like gave her this look like, "Hey, how's that putter working now?"
Wow.
Yes.
So yeah, she's supportive for the most part.
For the most part, unless I'm playing poorly, and then she'll let me know.
Well, I just feel like if you're looking at your caddy book that you two are sharing, and then on like page 9, it's like Brittany, it has notes in there like, if he's not putting well, tell him so, and then like that's her
Let him know.
her cue.
Other competitors don't phase him, but Brittany working him hole after hole after hole.
Hey, whatever lights your fire. I mean, clearly that was it.
Yep, it happened to be that day.
Okay. All right. So let's congratulations, of course, on all of that. I just honestly, I looked for the first time. I didn't know payout was $6,000. That's clearly significant, and then some. So
good for the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that your? I guess I could just look, but is that probably like, I'm gonna guess like maybe your 3rd or 4th largest ever check when I think about?
Got to be. Let me guess. The 2 DGPT events, maybe even only one of the
and then
DGPT finals,
USDGC,
and then that.
Does that sound about right?
That does sound about right. So the first year at the Pro Tour finals, it was, I want to say, 7,500.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was considerably less. I want to say it was 2,500.
Okay.
USDGC was 10, and last year's second place at the Pro Tours was 10.
Okay. Well, I'm looking. We'll do our own on-air research with all of us joined in. Yeah, $10,000 last year for USDGC, as you mentioned. 2018, it is listed as an XA, and that was 7,500. And then I believe the other year in which you won wasn't listed technically as a PDGA event at all, because then it shows your next one, your next largest paycheck for winning is the 2020 Myrtle Beach Open for $2,000. So, just the other Pro Tour one must not have been tied to the PDGA at the finale, and therefore it's not showing up in the PDGA stats.
No, but he said the second place he had at the Pro Tour.
Oh,
the second place he got at the behind.
Oh yeah. Last
year was $10,000 because
yeah.
it was 20 for the winner. $10,000 for second place. So
yeah, also not okay.
Well, it's listed just not as under his winning.
Correct,
because
gotcha.
He didn't win that, Terry.
Oh, okay. He was one of those non-winners. He was a loser.
His teammate won that.
Okay. All right, I follow. But still, obviously, a significant chunk of change. Give us a little a preview or a look. I saw you guys out on the golf cart today with Sam. I thought he was gonna maybe try and chew off a tire or something, but I saw you guys out on the golf cart today. Give us a quick preview of what you're expecting for this weekend at the Match Play Championship.
Oh goodness, wide open bombs.
Okay,
that's about it.
So
I played a practice round. I played a practice round with Ezra Adderhold yesterday, and I actually mentioned to him that I'm going to have to find my golf course distance again, because it's a different kind of distance. Whenever you are just in the wide open and you can rip the disc without really having to worry about much OB, it's a different type of golf shot than, let's say, like USDGC. You're still throwing far, but you need to keep it in between the lines.
I guess I quickly ran through. I saw there were 2 shorter tees for women. It's a 12-hole layout. When you say wide open bombs, I mean, what are we talking? I know the first hole is like 880
it's sponsored by
feet.
Discmania, and we know what those guys, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, look, let's have a wide open throw. Oh, who's on our team? Oh, yeah, Simon, Eagle, Kyle. We don't know why that happens, as you see.
I mean, how long are you talking? I mean, are we talking average hole length of like 900 feet?
No, not quite. There's a good amount of elevation, so that plays into it. I think hole one you said's like 700 and something feet, but it is uphill the whole way, so it takes 2 full shots to really get there and have a putt. And there's a little bit of out of bounds around the basket. I heard rumored that there was going to be OB on just the edge of the golf fairway. So like the first cut was going to be the inbounds. But I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. If it's not, that'll make that hole just a little bit easier because you can open up on the first shot. But there are like 1 or 2 technical shots throughout the course. It's a 12-hole course for the match play, so there's 1 or 2 technical shots throughout the entire course, and neither of them are on a par 3. They're like the first shot on a par 4.
Okay. Well, I will quickly. I apologize. Hole 1, 950 feet. Hole 2, 725. 3 is 585. 4 is only 435. And then 520, 390, 765, 720, 555, 580, and 760. So the average hole length is definitely over 500 for somebody that's going to do all that math. It's got to be over 500 on the overall course. So all right. Do you feel like there's anything about your game that's good, bad, or indifferent? I know you just said you'd love to have your golf course distance, but with the way the holes are configured, are you at any massive disadvantage if you don't throw like an Eagle or a Simon or a Kyle?
Let's see. You could be in trouble on a couple of the holes. So during a normal tournament, whatever, couple holes, not that bad. But whenever you're playing a 12-hole match, those couple holes add up quick. So I don't know. It really just depends on how the other person that you're playing against plays the holes. Because I'll try and give you a good example. Hole 2, I think you said was 700 and something feet. The first shot on hole 2 is a more technical shot that only gets you 300 or a little over 350 uphill. So that leaves you with like a 400-foot shot over a golf green. It sits on the backside of a mound, and there's an OB cart path probably 25 to 30 feet at the bottom of that mound. So there's not a lot of room to land at all on that green. I'm actually really curious to see if anyone birdies it.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at it right now. It plays as a par 5 for women, and I'm seeing what you're saying with the technical shot off the tee, and then just a really I don't know if protected's the right word, but the green congested or unique.
Congested is probably right. The green is closer than the cart path. It's probably 10 to 15 feet from the basket on the front side.
Wow.
So first round of the match play, originally when the brackets came out, you were going to be going up against Ricky. And now that they've kind of sorted out who's playing and who's not, your first matchup was I believe Kyle Klein? Is that who you're you're going up against? How do you go into a match play event like this against another player? Especially, I guess, maybe this specific player round 1, because you can't really think too much ahead of this. He's a younger player, great, young up and coming rookie. Do you have any sort of? Is there a game plan per opponent, or are you going to walk into it like a more of a stroke play and just try to play the course?
So I think the way that I like to play match play is I go into the beginning of the match just playing the course. But obviously, match play is quite a bit different than stroke play. So um, I think that there is a lot more thinking that goes into the match play because you have to not only think about what you're doing, you've got to know what your opponent's doing the entire time instead of just, last round of the tournament. Maybe you have to know, like what I touched on earlier. But match play tournament, you have to know from the beginning. You have to at least kind of keep an idea of what your opponent is doing. Um, so, for example, let's say we're playing a par four, we're tied up until this point, and I throw out of bounds. So now my opponent has to realize, you know what, if he's not in a position to take a par from that OB shot, I'm going to play this hole for par, and I'm going to get I'm going to go one up in this match because I don't need to birdie this hole to separate myself further from my opponent or the rest of the field if it was stroke play. You've just got to capitalize on making up the difference between what you and your opponent are doing on that hole.
Yeah, you're essentially just worried about beating them by one. If they're about to take a 12, you're like, cool, all I need is an 11 or better, right? I mean,
that's exactly it.
And is there anything different? I mean, again, I'll drill down into round one with Kyle being kind of a rookie. Like, do you feel like you have an advantage? Your style, the amount you've played, your history. Do you think you can pressure him into doing different shots because he's younger? Make him go for things. Like, is there something different with Kyle particularly, or is it just Kyle would be no different than Ricky, would be no different than Ezra, Eagle, whatever? Or is Kyle a unique situation for you?
Everybody's going to play differently. Everybody's going to react differently to certain situations. I don't know about going into a match against Kyle what the game plan is actually going to be. I will say that I don't know about 4 rounds, but whenever it comes to like the press conference that we're going to do on Thursday, um, so the Pro Tour, whenever they do their press conference, everybody has a time. They show up, interview one person at a time. For this event, they're actually interviewing both people at one time slot. So, and they encouraged trash talking. So, it's going to be interesting if they encourage, or if they say we don't care if you trash talk during your round. I'm kind of curious to see how that's gonna go.
Us too.
Yeah.
Honestly, because we're broadcasting it, and I don't exactly. I mean, I know the format. I don't know the feeling. I don't know if they want it to be more casual, more fun, almost like we've seen with the GK skins, where it is
Absolutely.
a lot like where it's meant to be trash talk, and then the money is great, but it's almost secondary. Or if this is going to be more of a serious, did they say what the winner is taking home?
It better be 50 grand.
It's not 50. I think it's 10.
Okay. So I mean, that's pretty serious cash, and not all players
Correct.
maybe want to trash talk and have fun when 10 grand is on the line.
Correct. But I think what it's going to come down to is if the Pro Tour says, you can if you want to, if someone thinks it will be an advantage to trash talk, like you said, to a specific player, whether or not you think that they can handle it or not. I will go ahead and say that I'm not going to lead out with any kind of trash talking. And this is for the interview as well. But I will 100% say that once the first punch is thrown, there'll be some trash talking.
Oh,
well, and that's what I was going to say is,
and it also depends on probably the person you're playing.
That's what I was just going to say.
If you're going up against Calvin first round,
yeah,
I can only imagine the fun that would be, or a second round or third round.
Yeah, that's where I think for me, it'll be more obvious when some of these matchups happen where you're going to see or hear a little bit of this jostling and joking and trash talking, like Johnny just said. It could be funny between you and Kyle, or almost maybe awkward depending on who says what first, but you and a Calvin or whomever, totally different story.
Correct. And yeah, that's what I was kind of trying to say. Me and Kyle are friends.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know him too well, so yeah, I'm not going to start off by trying to talk any kind of trash at all. However, if it was Calvin, on the other hand, I would most certainly be more than happy to talk trash from the beginning.
Yeah, we shall see. Kyle's not really the type either, which is kind of funny. Like, he's not outwardly, he's far from a Zach Melton per se.
But wouldn't that be then maybe let's play pretend? You know your opponent. I'm Chris Dickerson. You're Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know each other very well. You know Kyle isn't necessarily the trash talker. I'm Chris, and I just kind of maybe be like, oh, hey, your mom's kind of cute. Just throw him off. Just start with something weird, and he's off his game the rest of the thing. Like, he's done. Because he's not a trash talker. He's probably not coming back with something. He doesn't have that experience. Maybe it is good to be the first one to get that jab and get under
throw that
his
first
skin.
Punch.
Or whatever. Again, I just threw that out there. But just anything like that. Like, you want to go anywhere with somebody. Maybe when the cameras don't hear it. Maybe it's just a little behind the scenes.
That's funny. And whenever it comes to trash talking in anything really, it comes down to how they respond to it. That first jab, like what you said, it could completely break them. It could ruin their round, or it could light a fire under them, and you could have created a monster that you didn't want to deal with.
Suddenly Kyle's throwing in 80-footers left and right, and I'm like, oh, geez, whoops.
He's like, what'd you say about that putter? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it will be fun. We're, of course, very excited to see it. Everyone's been talking about, and I think it was Brittany as well, but everyone's been talking about the amenities. It's at the Steel Club. Is that what I hear? And what is that? What's the vibe over there?
It's like it's an older looking golf club, or a country club. So it has these older vibes to it, but they've also, like anything else, they've renewed certain parts of it to make it up to date. So it's got a little bit of the older vibe, but it's also got a little bit of a newer vibe to it. It's a pretty solid place.
And golf, is disc golf like, if I showed up, well, it's Pennsylvania in winter, but if I showed up next April or May, could I go play some disc golf course or layout or design that's permanently there, or is this completely temporary for us for the weekend?
I'm fairly certain there is a permanent layout here, because there are tee signs, there are tee pads, and the baskets are concreted in. But since we're playing 12 holes, we were playing a kind of a safari layout, but not really. We are playing, I think, most of the original holes, just in a different configuration. But I have noticed that some tee pads don't really have a tee sign like some others do, so they may be a temporary tee pad. But yes, there's a course here. You should be able to play it year round.
Okay, awesome. Well, before we let you go, I think we can tie up a few of the thoughts and questions from the evening. One of the final ones I have for you, and it was kind of asked off the board as well. the significant payout at the event this last weekend, and then we know that you just completed a house and moved in, and you have all that excitement, and then you have your travels, but yet you are very money conscious and somewhat conservative with your spending. What's the wildest or craziest splurge or expense or extra thing that you maybe spoiled yourselves with coming off this big win? Anything?
Oh goodness. I don't think anything so far.
Is there anything you're excited to get for the house? Like you thinking like, cool, I got $6,000 in my pocket. I'm going to go out and buy, I'll throw it out there because I just bought one, a big lawnmower. I'm going to get a nice rider now instead. And I'm going to be able to, cruise with my headphones on and like, a nice glass of lemonade and just kind of cruise around my yard.
I don't really think so as far as the house, because where we built from scratch, we've got most of everything that we wanted in the beginning. So yeah, where most people, or not most people, where some people buy a house and they fix it up and they continue to fix it up throughout however many years. Whenever you start with a brand new house, it's the exact opposite. You fix everything in that beginning, and then, you get to just use those things until, they need to be fixed again. So
Okay.
we're just at the point where I hope we don't need anything else for the house.
All right. Well, we're going to cut you loose. We're going to see more of you in a couple days, which is, of course, exciting. Looking forward to the event we were just talking about with the Discmania match play. Give us where people can follow you, follow your journey, how they can support you, thank all your sponsors. Give us that rundown before we let you go.
I'm on Facebook, Instagram. You can there's a link on my Instagram that will link you to Savage jerseys or VII apparel jerseys. Let's see, Prodigy Disc, their website has Signature Series PA3s, FX2s, disc golf pins. Ooh, almost forgot. Local disc golf store, throwmore.com. We haven't been home in so long. They have a Signature Series P Model US and Duraflex plastic. So if anybody needs a P Model US and Duraflex plastic, please go to throwmore.com and order from them. They have two options, a signed and an unsigned. The difference is $5. So, go support them.
Sweet. That's cool. Awesome. Well, I put the link, your link tree in there, and so if people can go find a bunch of the links you just mentioned, and you already know this. A lot of people, when they see you out there with your VII jerseys, they almost always make a remark. Everybody loves the patterns that you're repping out there. Mm-hmm. So that's a good place, because I think a lot of people, I don't even think people realize necessarily that they too could go get themselves a matching one to the one you're out there wearing. So that's pretty sweet.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that, because whenever you order one, it doesn't come with the Prodigy logos on it, but it'll come with everything else.
Awesome. Well, good. Well, of course, they've been a huge supporter and sponsor of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Disc Golf Network, along with us at Smashbox a few years ago, and they make some really amazing apparel. So it's pretty cool that people can go out and get them. Which you must like the red one just a tad better than the blue one, or no?
The blue one's newer, but the red one seems like a more traditional. Whenever I think of a plaid shirt, I think of red and black. But I mean, that could just be me.
No, that is definitely traditional. Well, we love it. thank you so much for joining us. A little disappointed I didn't get to see you in person this weekend, but Dawson, I mean, I was your number one fan of your fan club, says the internet, and I'm okay with that accusation, I guess, because it's awesome watching you perform well out there. It's great to see you take down this victory. Maybe whether it was on your radar or not to take down a regular season Pro Tour event, it was awesome to see it, and you did it in commanding fashion. Added a little drama, but it was still awesome to see when you pulled it out. So congratulations, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again at some point throughout the weekend.
Thank you. Yeah, sounds good.
All right, have a great night. Thank you to Brittany for helping organize and whatnot as well. And
all the
again,
photos she takes.
And, of course, all of the photos that she takes. I know she had the last couple weekends off so that she could enjoy the time with you. And, I mean, maybe that was the winning ticket. She just has to razz you a little, tell you what disc to throw or not.
Yep, could be.
All right, pal.
All right.
Thank you. Good night to you both.
Good night,
See ya.
Chris.
Thank you.
All right, Chris Dickerson. Certainly impressive. Oh shoot, it just came in on the board too. Apparently some people don't take to one of the nicknames that I throw out there, and I don't know why not, considering it's part of his Instagram.
C-Dick Slayer?
Yeah, the C-Dick Slayer. I mean, his Instagram is CDick1322.
But where does Slayer?
I don't know. It rolls off the tongue better than 1322. Like, hey, how's C-Dick 1322?
Why Slayer?
Like, I don't know.
You just throw it. It's a Terryism. You just put it out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like an alliteration. It just kind of it just rolls.
You're the only one.
That's fine. I mean, somebody starts a nickname somewhere. There has to be one. One says it, and then it picks.
I mean, technically, C-Dick is his nickname.
Yeah, and I'm not.
I've gone on.
I'm not suggesting that it has to get picked up by others. Mm-hmm. I mean, plenty of people have nicknames for me that nobody else.
I mean, I do. I've got plenty of names I call you and nicknames.
Well,
I'm on record as saying, in general, I'm not a fan of the first letter, like first 3 or 4 letters of the last name as a nickname. I think
so. Like somebody calling me T Miller.
T Mill.
I
think it's lazy. I think it's a lazy nickname.
Okay, which is why I expand on it. But go on.
I have no problem with that. I'm just in general, I think it kind of all, traces back to A-Rod in general. He was probably one of the first to popularize that in sports, that at least that I can remember. And since then, it seems like it's been a relatively common nickname to give people. I just think it's lazy. I want something more original when it comes to my nicknames. So,
yeah, like Johnny V.
I was going to say, coming
so much
from the guy
more
who's
original.
like Johnny V or JV, both of which are just, and again, I'm not the one who gave myself this nickname. Other people have given me the nickname. Everyone knows you can't give yourself a nickname. It's just, that's not how it works.
It's not.
You can't, you have to, other people have to dub that as you, and that's what people have dubbed me. So I don't know. I just think that it is, in general, lazy nomenclature, and we need to be better in our society. Vaccinations are one thing. Nicknames are another, my friend. You need to get yourself a good nickname. So,
well, thank you so much, of course, to Chris Dickerson for joining us here tonight. Also, giving us a little insight and preview. For the match play this weekend.
Yeah, real quick, we're going to wait for Jen Allen.
Yep. I just sent her a message a moment ago.
Oh, good.
And hopefully we'll get her going here in just a few moments.
And so let's real quick go over the match play we're going to see this weekend. I want to know just what you're excited for, Terry. You're excited for all of them, I know, because you're broadcasting. So you're going to be somebody's biggest fan here.
Yes.
But we'll break down the brackets really quick here. Eagle and Colton. Where do you think... both long throwers. Eagle is the number one player in our sport. Yeah, Eagle has to be. He's the number 1 seed. He has to be the favorite.
Yeah.
If
you're just going
match play.
I don't want to say you can't say obvious, but having him just telling us about the distance. Mm-hmm. And he's the number 1 seed, like you mentioned, for a reason. Okay.
Hamas versus Aderhold. I think that could be interesting. Both are.
That's for sure going to be a good battle.
Relatively new to the scene. On course. Adam's been around for quite a while, this and that. We do have Jen Allen in our green room, so I'll quickly finish these. For the MPO, we'll talk about FPO after Jen, maybe. Kyle Klein, Chris Dickerson, we already went through that one. KJ and Double G.
Wow, that should be a great battle.
I think that's going to be maybe the most fun one to watch.
And probably some trash talking for sure.
Oh, yeah, most certainly.
I think that's inevitable there.
Kelvin and Clemens.
That also should be some good trash talking. I mean, we don't know if it sets up for a righty versus a lefty, but yeah, Clemens is such a proficient forehander. It doesn't really matter. But I mean, Kelvin likely will have an advantage if it's really distance heavy.
Possibly the most interesting one, I think, just because it involves him. Nico versus Gavin Rathbun. Nico being, quite honestly, maybe the most veteran on this list.
Yeah, one of them for sure.
Yep. No, I bet you. I don't know of anyone that's played longer than him on this list.
Okay. Yep.
Versus Gavin Rathbun, probably the not youngest maybe, but one of the newest players on the thing. And I don't see trash talk being a big thing because I don't know if Nico's much of a trash talker. He's a lot of a talker. I don't necessarily know if trash talk is the way he's going. So I think that could be actually one of the most interesting battles. What do you think?
Yeah, it's all about if Gavin's healthy or not. That's all that comes down to.
Okay.
Ricky versus
Emerson. There could be Ricky's a known trash talker when it's open, and then we have Conrad versus Freeman. Maybe two of our quieter players on tour.
Well, not necessarily Freeman's shirt, but yes.
Well, no, not his outfit, but
no, that should be a good one as well. Both long throwers, and
maybe also the longest one because both of those players are not necessarily known for being fast on the course.
Yeah, they teeing off last. So.
I have no clue what the order is, but
all right. Well, we'll talk more about those matchups and other stuff, but right now we've got a major winner in the green room. I mean, yeah, congratulations. Let's bring her in, everybody. Jennifer Allen. Hello, Jen. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We
couldn't be better. We're not major winners, but
no, we're major losers. In fact, so
I've never.
Yes, every major you've played in, you've lost.
Oh yeah, good call.
So I mean, we'll just skip all of it, or we jump right to is a better way to put it. The final putt, which took place in a playoff. I think most of the world has seen it, but in case they haven't, Johnny might be able to cue it up here for us in a moment. But talk us through getting the tee shots. Talk us through the tee shots during the first hole of the playoff. Let's start there.
How about the 18th hole?
Okay. Des parked it, or what I thought was a park job, right?
Well, that's a par 5.
Okay. So set that up for us. Break down hole 18 for us.
Hole 1 and hole 18 are both par 5s. They're extremely long, difficult shots with a very large creek OB area that runs the entire length of the hole. So 18, we both, you lay up the very first shot, and then you try to get down the fairway on your second shot, which we both managed to do. I played it safe through the trees just to lay up. I honestly didn't know the score. I knew all 4 days we were all just like neck and neck, stroke for stroke. So I laid up playing it safe, made it across, and Des steps up and just laces it, puts it underneath the basket for a drop in. 3. I think she 3'd it. So that tied us, even though I didn't know it. But that last shot on the 18th it was amazing. So then we went to home.
I was just going to say, did she know? I mean, you were talking about scores and whatnot. Did she know, like, what was unfolding?
Oh, I'm sure she does. She's so great and smart with the game. We just handle it differently. I don't want the stress of knowing it. And she's such a smart player. So I'm 99.9% sure she knew.
Okay, so you're in the score. It's now become obvious to you guys that you're all knotted up. Owen Scoggins is one stroke or one. She's one stroke off the pace from you guys. And what was that realization for all of you as the scores were then, kind of finalized?
Owen thought I won.
Okay.
So he was a little behind. And so we really kind of made sure we were both all pretty shaky and nervous adding that up. But finalized it, and there just happened to be kind of a break before the next tee on one. So he offered us, do you want to immediately go and finish, or do you want to wait and take a break and then let the next card of MPO 40 take off? And we both were like, no, let's just wrap this up and get out there. So, we proceeded to hole one again, which during the first time we played it that day, it's really kind of funny. The very first day we played that hole, she drilled it off the top of the basket. Then day 4, Sunday, we played it again, and she actually threw it in a little closer because she had went OB, so she was right up against the OB line. That entire, from the last large tree all the way up to like 5 feet from the basket, it's out of bounds. So she had slightly went out of bounds in the creek earlier on Sunday and threw it in from there.
Which is how far, roughly? Like from where she threw it in from?
Little shorter, maybe 125 feet. I don't know. It was close. And I had hit the cage. So I had hit the cage to the first on Sunday, early round, and then she threw it in right behind me. So it was like back-to-back shots. So she had trumped me earlier that day. So
you guys are dialed on hole one. That's what you're telling me? You guys were dialed in on hole one.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, and I think that's why I was just so in shock that it went in, because like we had watched each other just hit this basket, and I mean it's a long shot across, straight uphill. So it was pretty crazy. Still kind of doesn't seem real, and it took forever for that disc to go in the basket.
Well, I think Johnny's shown it now. I mean, it took forever. It was 145 feet. They're saying, that you probably had 180 or 190 feet worth of distance because of the hyzer up and then having it fall back in. Did you what were your realistic thoughts of it possibly going in?
Well, earlier the very first day, I had kind of threw a little backhand. I mean, that's a long shot for a jump putt. So, But the reason I did was because day 1, I threw a little soft backhand and it went way too far. So I didn't want to go far and have to putt back at it. So, and I had jump putted it earlier on Sunday and hit the basket. So stepped up and knew what I needed to do. Did I think it would go in? No. Little magic disc golf angels maybe threw it in there. I don't know.
I mean, at that point, Des has approached and you're thinking, hey, I just need to get this close. We're going to go to hole 2. I mean, it's probably what you were thinking.
No. I threw first. I was further out.
Oh.
So she had to
So she could have. So Desk then could have tried to throw it in
maybe
well.
I saw him in reverse order or something. I was under the impression she had already gone and was next to the pin, and then you were throwing. Okay, I apologize.
No, that's okay. So I threw it in, and which it got a little crazy there for a second, and so especially with Owen, I had to kind of calm Owen down. Owen was super, and so. I wanted it to be really quiet because of anyone that could throw in a skill shot, it's going to be Des. Now, the fact that she had done it, 3 hours earlier put a lot of pressure on her to do that twice in one day. So a lot of pressure on her, but if anyone could have done it, it would have been her. So, and she gave it a great run. But.
Wow. And so they're asking on the board, what disc was it? What were you throwing there?
It was the Yeti.
Ouch!
Oh, jeez!
That is a dagger.
Ouch! Salt in the wound.
Holy cow!
I mean, I'm sure Jay loves to hear that, but
ouch! Wow.
Yeah.
Was there a conversation after that about it?
No, he texted me today and they congratulated me again. I really wanted to say, thanks for the great putters, but I didn't. I held that off.
Well, he's a fan. He watches.
He's watching
now.
now.
Seen it, I'm sure. Well,
Ouch.
he's got a smile. I know it hurts right now, but he'll look back and be like, well, it was my disc.
All right, so I will revert to a variation of my question, which is, if you two push there, what were your thoughts about, hey, if we push here, we're going on to the next hole, and the next hole is blank. Did you feel any form of advantage? Did you assume you were going to push on the first hole? What were some of your thoughts, knowing like, okay, here's where we're starting the playoff, and here's what's probably in our near future?
There were zero thoughts.
Okay.
And it was really kind of funny. You know me, I've always have music in, not that I'm really listening to it. It's kind of just background noise. But I guess our round was pretty long. So I stepped up to go tee off. They introduced me and my headphones shut off. And so I was like, oh, crap. So go to throw, and it's like so quiet. Like I wanted people just to talk, because it was just from having just a little bit of background noise to nothing. It was so quiet. So I throw, and I'm digging through my bag. I'm trying to find headphones. Found some. They were tangled. Trying to untangle them. So I did all that in complete silence, which maybe I should just turn my headphones off. But sorry, someone's outside.
You're fine.
But yeah, no, I honestly was just, it was all kind of just so surreal. I didn't think about what was coming up. I just thought, right there. The main thing was staying in bounds. Every single shot could have went out of bounds. From the tee to the second shot to the last shot. Every one of them could have went out of bounds very easily. So I think that was really my main focus, was just trying to keep the disc in bounds and not lose it by throwing out of bounds. So I hadn't even thought about hole 2. Hole 2 is another tough hole as well. And then it gets to several little birdie runs. It was really kind of shocking. All the courses we played, the last one being the toughest, but a lot of really short holes. Even on Harmony Bends, there was like 5 holes that were 125 to 150 feet long. You would be very impressed. I threw the most forehands I've ever thrown in my entire life. Almost got my first forehand ace. And but you had to make putts. And I finally watched a little bit of our first round at Harmony Bends today after work. And I even forgot how many putts I made, but you had to make putts. And of course, lately that's been like my weakness. So I was really proud of myself that, I did what I had to do. I did not make all of them. None of us did. But I was really just hoping, we could throw in good drives and give myself the shortest putts I could get, not putting it into a putt off with Des, because Des
which is a very, very scary proposition. Obviously, one of the best putters, one of the most decorated women in our sport, and to find yourself all knotted up with her and then to take it down in this heroic fashion. I don't want to say, well, statistics are on her side, but like you mentioned, she has every skill, every shot, every title out there. She's done it all, and you're kind of playing with fire the longer you let that go.
I knew, of course, Owen is so great. I love Owen. We've battled for years. We have a great time playing together. But, a month prior in Tennessee, we had to play 9 extra holes, and I had, I believe, a 3-stroke lead on Elaine, and I played absolutely horrible the 9 holes, but Elaine snuck back and got me. And so Sunday morning, that was kind of my first thought is, yes, we knew that Owen was going to play great. She always does. She's an incredible golfer, but I knew that from hole 1, like I knew Des was going to come out fighting just like Elaine. Elaine played perfect golf the last 9 holes in Tennessee, and I had a feeling that Des was going to be the one that I was going to have to watch out for all day. So, and she played just Des golf. I mean, every shot was in the fairway, every upshot was underneath the basket. If she needed to make the putt, she did. So she played incredible on Sunday. So
Those
fun to
wily multiple-time world champions, I tell you, it's like they. So you mentioned it that your putting, it hasn't necessarily been your strong suit, and you've struggled a little bit with it, but you putted well this week. Was there anything different? Have you found a tool or a resource or a thought process or anything physical or mental that's kind of led you to your putt improving over the last weekend?
Clearly a lot mental, time, just, getting a little bit less stress in my life, kind of a little. But COVID definitely caused me anxiety. And so dealing with that, getting over that, healing from that, it's still present, but I've came so far since Vegas. But every tournament gets a little bit better and a little bit better. I have not had a full-blown anxiety attack on the course since, I think, DDO. So that's been nice. But so I switched to the turbo, which you were right there in Phoenix when that kind of happened. I never really turboed before, but it's a lot easier to hit the target when you're throwing it overhand like that. So I switched to that. I have dialed it in fairly good. Like, I'm getting pretty darn comfortable with it. But I like it from like 15, 20 and in. Other than that, I at Tennessee switched to a straddle putt, which is another putt I've never really done. By the time this is all over with, I'm going to be like the most versatile putter ever. Once I dial them all in, and then I've been doing the straddle putt from like 2025, and then outside of that, I do a regular spin putt. So regular stamp.
Now, speaking to any kind of challenges mentally with any form of anxiety or overall just work overload. I mean, you're that classic scenario of you're taking days off from your full-time job to go play in a tournament, and then the moment you fly or drive home, like the next day, you're back working a 10 or 12-hour shift with patients doing what you do. Is that exactly how this week unfolded? You were home, Monday, and then right back to work by Monday afternoon?
Monday at 9, actually.
So right away in the morning, you were right at it. So you,
this was a little bit different though. So I flew out with my boys to Oklahoma the Thursday before because my mom had a major operation. Surgery went good, but then she kind of had a little bad few days. So I had planned on driving to Columbia early Monday morning, practicing, all day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And as of Monday, I was going to drop out. So, but she did really good and told me to go. So.
Awesome. Well, good to hear. I know I saw your post. She had surgery on her hand, ultimately. Is that what it was?
Yeah. So as we know, her arm's healing well. It was a 4-hour operation, which is kind of crazy if you know anything about surgeries. Total hips, total knees, big surgeries like that usually take a couple hours. I was dumbfounded. I didn't think that he would actually take 4 hours to put her arm back together, but it did. He cut off 3 centimeters of her arm, took off her ulna, took off her thumb, and some cadaver bone to kind of put all in and rebuild her wrist. She has a plate, from half of her arm.
Wow.
But that wasn't, so it was very tedious surgery. It's one of, he said, maybe 3. That really wasn't the scary part. The scary part was she went unresponsive for about 18 hours. So she gave us a big scare, but got there, took care of her, and so it was really hard to leave her because when I was there taking care of her, she was doing great. So threatened my boys, trained them how to take care of her, and they kind of pushed me out the door and told me to go. So called 3-4 times a day, and made sure that they were helping her. She is horrible. RA, OA, any kind of bone disease, very, very terrible osteoporosis. They almost amputated her leg 2 years ago because of osteoporosis. So she's kind of had a rough go. So she's had, my dad and I counted, I think, about 20 surgeries in the last 6 years. So the anesthetic, really just doesn't clear out of your body good. And she just went into like very, very shallow breathing. And as far as we knew, our best guess was she just really wasn't breathing out as good as she was breathing in. So we think she possibly just kind of gave herself CO2 poisoning.
Mm. Oh, wow.
Which, made her very lethargic, and she didn't want to wake up. So I call all my great friends in Oklahoma, firemen that came over, took her vitals until I could get there, called my best little RN I know in Oklahoma. She rushed out, listened to her lungs, made sure she wasn't getting pneumonia. We knew like infection wouldn't set up in 2 days, but unfortunately my dad was very, very scared of transporting her to the hospital because of COVID. So, Oklahoma had put on the news, for weeks that they have no hospital beds. So he was really afraid that they would just stick her in a hallway and she could risk getting, COVID when she wasn't breathing well. So he didn't want to take her, so we had to take care of her there at home. So it all worked out. She's doing much better. Hopefully her wrist is healing, but it really wasn't the surgery that made us the big scare. It was just her body kind of reacting to the surgery. So drove up there, took her car, drove home. It was 7 hours away from Oklahoma. Stopped and got her some oxygen on the way home from my dad's brother's a doctor, so he wrote her prescription for some oxygen.
I was gonna ask, like, where do you just stop and get that on the way? It was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hit like the CVS here and just pick up some O2.
Out behind Jim Bob's barn, we got some oxygen just waiting for you.
It's gonna fill up the tractor tire, or it's for Ma.
Oxygen bars, maybe, but no.
Yeah, it's not quite like where we've been in Vegas. I know that.
Different.
Yeah, so it's knowing the right people sometimes in small towns. So everyone kind of worked together, and she's doing better. So.
Well, that's great to hear.
Yeah, I've met your mom and your dad, and of course, fighters, and awesome to hear of the recovery. And I would think maybe either directly or indirectly a little extra inspiration and feels for the week as you went into this championship and this battle.
Yeah, I told the staff, the tournament director, which the staff was absolutely amazing. Every day they would ask us, is there anything that we can do to make this better? Is there anything that we can tell the next people to do to make this better? So quick shout out to everyone who helped put that tournament on. It was top notch. It was probably one of the best ran tournaments I've ever played in. Also a huge thanks to Lance and Becky for putting myself and another Okie, Ron Converse, up last week. But I had stepped up and checked in and told them, if I get a phone call, I'm out of here, and I'm really sorry, but I gotta go. So I kind of expected that, really, honestly, the first couple of days. But it worked out. Played for her. As soon as I got home, I actually went in. It was probably, 11 o'clock or so, and drug her out of bed and made her take a picture with the trophy.
Jeez.
I can't.
Dang it, Mom! You're gonna appreciate this. You're gonna appreciate.
Do you know the stress I was under while you were?
Yeah.
Do you think the situation helped you? I don't know if it's focus less on golf or focus more on golf.
Maybe. No, I really do. I do. I think it puts things into perspective where that. And it's the same thing I really thought in Tennessee. I told myself in Tennessee the same thing is, this is golf. I love the game. I'm blessed to be here. And it worked in Tennessee. I just tried to have a great time. The last round I did stress, and I put on myself to try to hold on to second place. So I think this time it was even more distraction, that I was very, very thankful to be there. And it didn't matter if I won or lost. I could care less which one of us won. Honestly, I know that sounds weird, but we all three played amazing, incredible golf all week. We were tied almost the entire week. So I was going to be happy for any of us who won. It was a great group of women. We had an absolute wonderful time playing golf, even on the 18th. Like I said, I didn't know who was in the lead. I didn't want to really look, and there was no talk of it. There was no weirdness. It was the same vibe as it had been the entire week. We all, gave each other hugs and fist bumps, and we meant it, and so it was wonderful. There was no weird feeling about any of it, and it was just the best player win. So, and I really kind of feel like we all did. I mean,
well, let me clarify, or I guess I'll even calling myself out. I was kind of sort of keeping an eye a little bit on some of the numbers and the fields, and then I saw things were getting really close. And again, this is all during the broadcast, but I tried to take a peek over there. We saw a promo that involved some of the women, involved some of the men. I knew the Brad Schick, Jeff Bennett, Dave Felberg thing was really tight. All these things. And like you, so many of these people are people that Johnny and I have grown up and played around and known forever. And when I heard playoff, and I knew that Owen originally was in the lead, and then at one point I saw Dess's name, I hadn't computed it all, and I think I 100% incorrectly called out
You did.
on the live broadcast saying, oh, there's a playoff, and it's Owen and Des. And it was because I knew Owen was in the lead earlier, and I didn't take a close look. Clearly, I was dead wrong. And I'll apologize.
50% wrong.
Yeah. So I'll apologize to you for that, because I know part of what I had seen earlier in the weekend is it looked like Owen was out in front, and I didn't realize just how close it was. What's that?
I won. She only we tied day 2. I think she got me by 1 on the first day. I mean, so that's what I was saying. It was like,
yeah,
all 3 of us were just right there the entire time. So it honestly could have very easily been all 3 of us. Well, Owen went out of bounds.
Okay.
On 18, or it could have been all 3 of us going into hole 1. So
yeah, well, immediately that's what I was wondering, is like, wait, no, Jensen and I was totally just confused by the few seconds I paid attention. So I do want to publicly apologize. I did not correctly. But then when we did see the video and we were able to get it played and we talked about it in the broadcast, it was so incredible. So all of the viewers for this weekend's Green Mountain Championships also got to see how it concluded, and of course, nothing but congratulations for you. So pretty incredible. Now, some people may not realize that you have been playing golf for a while, obviously Oklahoma background, and then when you look, you and Des are literally just a few hundred PDGA numbers apart. You're both in the 15,000s. Des had come through Iowa and Wisconsin and got a lot of some of her original early playing there. You're someone I didn't meet until a few years later, even though you had started very early on as well. How much did you play with Des, being in, that she was a traveling player, moved to Texas, Oklahoma, all that other stuff? What's the history like for you two?
Yeah, we both started in 99. Mm-hmm. And I think she told me, I think I have her by 500, which I've always thought, I don't know why. I knew we were really close, but I always just put her number lower than mine because I felt like she had so much more history. But I just barely snuck in there, I guess, and got her. She actually said that there was 4 of us that are just right there that all got our numbers about the same time. But she went on tour and they toured, and I got a career and a job and a family. But she moved to Texas. I think she said, we talked about it, 01, 04, something like that. So we played a lot of golf together. And I was joking with someone that I knew and like I said, starting on Sunday, like how sneaky she is. And so there was a tournament I'll never forget. I think it was in Live Oak, down in Texas, that I played with her, and I swear she never had the box. And we added up the cards, and we were like, she won. Like, we were like, how in the heck did she win? But she's so good. She's so consistent, and you have to always watch your back when you're playing Des. She's such a great golfer. But yeah, we've played down in Texas a lot. I want to say Ziegenbach. There was a Budweiser tour down in Texas that they all played. We played that one a lot.
Is that the old Zebos?
A lot of Zebos we played. We played in Amarillo, I know, together. I think that was one of the very first times I ever beat her, and I was like ecstatic. It wasn't for the tournament, I don't think. I don't remember. But I remember that was like distinctly, like I finally had beat her in a round, and it was like, yeah. But
well,
yeah, a lot of golf.
And as you're saying, yeah, you guys are 509 PDGA digits away from one another, where you're 15,354 and she's 15,863. So, consequently, the two lowest in the FP40 division, Mel Ring is the next closest in the 19,000. So, very, very cool to see. Maybe expand just a little bit. I know you just gave the accolades, and they sound like they're well overdue and very appropriate. But what is it about some of this event or all of this event that you could share with the world? If there's a tournament director out there listening, and maybe they've only run a few events so far, or they're thinking about running events, what are some of the things, the lessons, and the takeaways that you say, hey, I'd love to see more of blank at upcoming tournaments, or here's how you can really set yourself apart from other tournaments? What are some of the things that you experienced? And let's shine the light and give them all the accolades they deserve.
Yeah, it just seemed like they really thought ahead. They thought about everything that they could do to make it better. Even, we couldn't have the get-togethers because of COVID. They did a box dinner. They fed us 2 different nights. The courses looked amazing. You could tell they did a ton of work for that. They had a lot of help. All the help was so friendly. Everyone wanted to be there. Everyone wanted to help. It was a fantastic atmosphere. The only thing we had kind of walked away and told them was all the women were in one pool. So I personally think it kind of made our ratings a little lower. Our ratings seemed to be pretty low because I felt like we shot pretty good, and our ratings really didn't reflect on that.
Okay.
But they could have. The only thing we could walk away and tell them is that we wished our tee times were kind of spread out because we were the only pool on one course several days, and we waited a lot.
Sure.
Just because the numbers, the AMs in front of us had 4 people on a card, and we had 3. So I mean, it's just going to happen. It was no one's fault. No one was playing bad in front of us. It was just this is kind of how it worked. So that was literally the only thing that we could really kind of tell them was, maybe next time spread our tee times out.
Sure. Yeah, you had a little bit more time in the day that you could do so. You're obviously a team Innova player. Did you have many interactions with Tim Selinsky, who the event is named after and in honor of? Did you have much interaction with Tim?
No, I honestly, looking back, I was trying to think that I don't think I've ever got to even meet him.
Okay.
I was really trying to think if there would have been one early tournament or something that I would have met him. And maybe I did briefly, but at the beginning, I never really went outside Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas.
Yep.
So I don't think I really ever had the opportunity to meet him.
Yeah, and I guess maybe, and I'm just thinking, not that I've followed you or been stalking you for years or anything, but I'm thinking like maybe did you play in the 09 Worlds? That's somewhere he would have been. I think that was. I
think it was the one time I met him.
I'm sorry.
Where was the 09 Worlds?
In Kansas City. No, it didn't look like you didn't play any golf in 09.
I had a kid.
Oh, okay. I was going to guess that, but okay. Yeah, I see. Yeah, no golf for you in 2009.
That'll happen, Tara. Makes it a little tougher.
I can understand that. So, okay. And yeah, I mean, there's so many stories and so many legends and heroes and incredibly influential, insightful, innovative, all these people that, really treat the Tim Selinsky event as this incredible reunion and obviously a celebration of the man that Tim was. And I that's where I was trying to just piece together if you may have met him or not, because, so impactful to so many people within our sport for all these years. But that was, he was a little bit before your time, so to speak. And with you largely being in the Midwest, I could see how you didn't cross paths with him. Incredible human.
You could totally feel that, like even not meeting him, you knew. Because everyone, who had so many great memories of him were definitely, sharing those and just the whole atmosphere. So it was like you knew him and you hadn't met him. So that vibe was definitely all through the air.
Yeah, and one of my memories, 09 World Championships, he always had a hug. He always had a smile. He was always just so warm and welcoming that it didn't matter what you shot on the course or not. You could just have this conversation with him. And he was very generous and gregarious, and you could tell that he loved life. And then that kind of just radiated from him whenever you had a conversation with him. And of course, him being one of the pioneers and innovators and original founders over at Innova, he had his impact in that very way. But the human that he was, most people that knew him everyone that knew him would tell you it was the human first before any kind of development or innovation or anything with regard to our sport. He was just such an incredible person. So
yeah, Crazy John spoke of him at opening ceremonies and definitely gave us that setup as well.
What did you feel about? We guess we went through some of the logistics, but what about the feels of Masters age only at this event? AMs, pros, it says 354 people. Clearly there's the demand for people to be at an event of this nature. How did that all feel for you?
I'm loving Masters.
You don't have to play. Some of the young guns can, okay, go on.
Which is funny because you throw further than most of the people in the FPO field.
Yeah,
like the only person that can probably kind of keep up with you is Paige.
Yeah, it's just the feeling. Terry, it feels like the old days. Okay. Everyone's just there because they love the game. Not maybe everyone, but it sure feels like everyone is there because they love the game. Like when at Worlds was 2 months ago, Pro Worlds, all these big events, you play, you're done, you turn in your cards, you go back, you shower, you do your own thing kind of deal. We get to Tennessee and we were the last ones off the course every day. And you walk into the parking lot area, and there's everybody. Everybody was there, sitting around in a circle, having a cold beverage of some sort, and waiting just to tell stories or ask how everyone did. And everyone stuck around for hours or so afterwards. And it was the same thing here. All the women especially, we sat around and talked every day after every round, and it's just a different feeling. Everyone's always cheering everybody on, which FPO does as well. But, it's just a little more cutthroat in the open divisions where Masters, it just really feels like everyone's just there to play and let the best person win. It's a little different feeling, a little different vibe.
So now I just need to know, what's the best story or varied story or actual interaction? What's the best thing you can share with us from the weekend that you didn't think you'd be sharing with someone?
That I won?
Okay, fair enough. But I need something a little juicier. I mean, that's incredible. But something a little juicy, like somebody get out of line. Was there, did we have the entire, MP55 division up on a bar top? Like, what? Give us a little juicy nugget. Something had to happen.
No, there's no juice. It's just.
Well, then you didn't have that much fun.
It wasn't like the old times then, let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that crazy.
I mean,
no, it was pretty just nice, beautiful days in the park. There really was nothing crazy that I came across.
I mean, okay, we can even scale it back. Like, someone forgot to put on their bifocals and then they walked into a door or something. Like, there's nothing you've got.
You're getting nothing out of her, Terry. You're getting nothing.
I'm really thinking very hard if anything happened, and I got nothing. In Tennessee, we had a fun time. So in Tennessee, the lake was like right across from Deer Winged Course or whatever. So we went over there and all sat around by the lake one day, and there was a duck. This is the stupidest story I can think of. There was a duck that had a fish hook stuck on his leg.
Okay.
And so pretty sure I've got a video somewhere of Owen trying to chase this duck down. So we could get Andrea Eaton and I could get the hook off of this duck's but I'm pretty sure the duck thought Owen was going to eat it.
Well,
that was some pretty comical times, but there was really nothing. I mean, it was pretty simple, or I kept it simple. I mean, we all sat around and talked and reminisced, but nothing crazy.
All right. What was what story, if you sat around and talked, what story brought up either the most emotion or the biggest debate or the heartiest laugh? Which story? There had to be one out there where everyone had a huge reaction of some kind.
No.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, it sounds like I need to go to these events and rile some people up.
Get the real stories.
They had a picture of Liz Schooner that they put in our group picture. I mean, that was kind of fun.
Okay.
But nothing crazy, just good times.
All right. I mean, it sounds like they were good but tame, and I mean, I expect more of you people.
Well, we have early bedtimes. We're old. We don't drink much.
Okay. Makes sense. So next year, Pro Masters Worlds is Peoria. That area. So that's on your radar. Has the Selinsky been? I feel like it's been solidified for a location next year. Does that sound right? Yes, no, maybe.
Quad City.
Maybe.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, because maybe the conversation was there's a lot of our majors are kind of in the Midwest, so that might
sounds right.
I'd believe that. I mean, you got to know where you got to go defend your title, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there.
It doesn't matter. You'll be there. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll have to do some digging later, but okay.
Okay. I definitely, after kind of playing this major event, I decided this was the most expensive tour I've ever did. Like, I took off 8 full weeks of work this year, but every event was like a week-long event that you had to travel, and usually a rental car and flight and flying my kids, getting dog babysitters. Like, I was like, this is the most expensive year I've ever had, and I've played like a half of the tournaments that I usually do. So this playing pro and playing masters was a little, it was different. So I may look at that a little better next year.
Well, and to be fair, when you're flying out kids and you're doing, I mean, you have some obligations, financial and otherwise, that plenty of our younger players aren't necessarily faced with, including being clocking in at 9 a.m. come Monday morning. That's not exactly common for a lot of our other players. Maybe a few, but not a lot of them. Um,
It was a long Monday.
I can imagine, but I'd also have to think it'd be probably, I mean, you already enjoy your job, but I'd have to imagine it'd be pretty hard to wipe the smile off your face come Monday morning.
Yeah, I don't tell a lot of my patients what I do. They don't really know the other life I lead. But I did share it with a few of them. So there's a few more older people in Arizona that know about disc golf now.
All right. So speaking of Arizona, as we start to wrap up for you, what does the rest of your season look like as you're out in Arizona? What a competitive play? What's that look like for you?
Arizona State's is going to happen again. I think in November, 1st of November. So I will be playing that. The PLO will probably happen. I'll play that. I'd like to sign up for a few more. I honestly just haven't really looked. I totally thought that the throw pink was not going to happen. For me, I thought that was kind of all those chances were already taken, and there would not be a chance for me to win an invite to that. So we had actually booked a fall vacation with the kids, which we never do. So probably won't make it. I hate the kids to think that I choose golf over them. So I probably will not be at Throw Pink unless they, again, kick me out of the house and tell me to go. But we have a trip planned. Michaela's flying out, and we'll spend a week, hopefully, on the beach. So.
Okay, and Schwebe's out on the board, and I know a few people have asked as to whether or not you'd be at Throw Pink, so you're just kind of answering that right there now. You did earn the position. They granted you that exemption as of winning this event, correct? Though, so if it worked out or things changed up, that might be where we could see you headed.
Yes, I would love to play. I mean, I've dreamed of playing that. We actually, Sandy and Pam and I kind of snuck in and somehow signed up for that at Masters Worlds. We kind of like broke through registration somehow and paid and signed up, but then they booted us because they realized we didn't have an actual invite yet. So I actually already paid for the tournament, not once but twice. But I did get my money back. But I really did. I already kind of took off work and planned for it. I wanted to even go and just help and be there because it's one of the best tournaments of the year. I would love to play it. I've never actually played the course. So I was really hoping to go. So now that I have an invite, it's really hard to say that I probably will not be there. But
it sounds like Smashbox is doubling down. Schwebe says, I was going to caddy if she made it there. Oh! That's what he just put on the board. I mean, just throwing that out there.
Family first, though. Family first.
Disc golf family. Yeah. Schwebe is family.
Well, yeah.
It just happened to be, it's the exact same week as my kids' fall break. So
yeah.
If it wasn't, I'd be there for sure.
All right.
I still, well, maybe not.
All right. Well, another way in which we've seen you garner support is Innova Champion Disc, of course, a longtime team member. We've seen that you could pick up some like glow T-birds. We've seen some special race in the past. We've seen all sorts of stuff from you. What is the best way people can go out? A, we need to know how they can support you now, and B, should they hold off for a minute so they can fill their cart with a special Tim Selinsky Masters commemorative disc? Or
I would hope so. I haven't talked to Innova yet, but I would hope that something like that's going to get made. So stay tuned. As soon as I know, I'll post something. But Glow T-Birds, our Tour Series disc, is the way to get out there. I don't really do anything else. So that's it.
Okay. I was just going to say, is there going to be an awkward phone call to over there to Yeti and be like, hey, psst, for this commemorative disc, I'm just thinking like,
no,
oh.
No, I couldn't do that.
I mean, you did do that. All right. Let's just own it already. You already did that. Awesome. Jen, anything else to share with us before we let you go tonight?
That's it. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. The kids are back in school, all fired up. They start way early out in Arizona, right? Like beginning of August?
Yeah, the first.
Okay.
So they're done with their first semester, I think, almost already or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it goes by. Yeah. So, and the fact that we're still in school this year compared to last year, it still blows my mind. So they were exposed to COVID and quarantined in Oklahoma last week.
Okay.
So,
yep. I'm not going to touch any of that. All right. Jen, if people want to support you, you just said the Tour Series disc. Hopefully we see some form of commemorative disc or something else. Instagram, Facebook, anything like that. Where should we direct people if they want to continue to follow your journey?
Yeah, I have an Instagram account. It's, I believe,jallen15354. And then Facebook. I don't post on my Facebook very much, so Instagram's probably the best place to reach me.
All right. Well, very cool. Congratulations. Your first ever major title victory. It was, I loved your Facebook post, or I'm sorry, your Instagram post. It said something to the effect of waking up and realizing it wasn't a dream. It said, when you wake up and you realize it wasn't a dream. And that's pretty awesome. Congratulations, of course, to you, and we all know, even more importantly, congratulations and speedy recovery to your mother and everyone in the family to keep pushing forward in our amazing journey that we've got going. So thanks for joining us. We appreciate it, as always. All the Smashies send big hugs and big love over to you, and maybe I'll see you. If I don't see you at down at the Throw Pink event, I'll probably see you a week or two later over at the Phoenix Ladies Open, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yep.
All
awesome.
right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jen. Have a great night.
Jen.
See ya. And there you have it. Jennifer Allen taking down this weekend's major. Pretty cool. And also, just as a quick reminder to the world, as her Instagram shows us, it says women's distance world record holder, 173.3 meters.
She throws far.
Yeah. Johnny, do you know how many feet that is? Give you a quick guess before I Google it. I want to be sure down to the exact foot. That's why I'm Googling.
You said 193?
173 meters.
173?
These aren't yards.
I know, so it's not 3 feet.
So much.
534 feet.
I think it's 542, but I'm going to hit the Googles. We're both wrong. We shorted her. 568 feet. 173.3 meters is 558.56 feet. Spockheiser, pretty close. So, yes, that is Jen Allen. All right, I think we can close out the regular show. No, we can't. Let's. I thought you gave me a weird look. No. Let's quickly give a few additional shout outs to some of our event winners from this weekend, and we'll backtrack just for a second. Of course, we talked to Chris Dickerson on the FPO side. I'll say in a somewhat similar-ish story that it was surprising to see Haley King hasn't yet won a Pro Tour event. She won the championship last year.
She has 2 NTs
She's
under her
got
belt.
2 NTs, so she has those Elite Series, but she hadn't yet taken down a Disc Golf Pro Tour. And everybody was thinking earlier in the year when she had won national tours, like, okay, well, she's just going to continue this dominance, and we've seen this incredible parity across all of the FPO division this year. But Haley King also in exciting fashion taking it down, maybe even way more so than what we saw on the MPO side. But Sarah Holcomb putting up a very good fight, but Haley King coming out on top. So congratulations to her. So that's the GMC action. And then let's quickly jump over to what we were just talking about on the Masters. I'd like to read out another super tight battle that I was paying some attention to when I could. Brad Schick, PDGA 7992. Brad Schick taking it down by a single stick over Dave Felberg and Jeff Bennett. And I know those guys were all in the hunt. I think Felberg opened the event with a new course record, and they battled throughout the entire weekend. And when it was all said and done, Brad Schick made look like a 30-ish footer on the final putt to secure the victory. So congratulations to him. Jumping down FPO or FP40, sorry. We just talked about it. Jennifer Allen edging out Des on the playoff. Owen Scoggins right there in contention all the way down to the final hole as well.
I picked Owen to win this event.
I mean it's
the way she took down Worlds by like 20 some strokes.
30,000 strokes.
Yeah. And
okay, it was like 39 or 29.
Honestly,
right.
I kind of thought Owen had it mostly, I don't want to say wrapped up, but I just big favorite.
Yeah, I mean, she's rated 960, Jen's rated 939, and Des is rated 922. I know ratings only go so far, but like you're saying, that gives her roughly a 2 to 3 stroke seeming, advantage, so to speak. Advantage isn't the right word. Favoritism.
Per round.
Per round. So over, 4 rounds, yeah. Patrick Brown is your champion. Congrats to him. And I'm just now for sure clicking on it to see that Schultz must have gone off, and it looks like he did do what he's capable of more so. He had a very slow start. He would be another guy you would pick. He was the highest rated in the MP 50 division and was off to a very slow start. He was 7 off of Brown after the first round and then lost another 5 to him. So he was 12 off of the pace after 2 rounds, and then he battled all the way back to take runner up to Patrick Brown. So congrats to Patrick. Jay Redding right there, and Jonathan Baldwin in the mix as your top 4. And then Barrett White took it down in FP50. Congrats to her. She did so by 5. Doug Williams, saw his post on the PDGA today. He edged out Thomas Huseman by a single stick as well, so congrats to him. Peggy Berry, your FP55. Eric Rainey battled with Greg Hosfeld. Hosfeld yesterday or the day before celebrated a birthday, but came up just 3 short of Eric Rainey. Donna Greist took it down in the FP60. She had a little more cushion over Suzette. Randy Beers edged out our good friend Jeff Hungerford.
Jeff.
I know it was a good battle. I saw the post throughout, but Randy had opened up much. It looks like, third round is when he distanced himself. So Randy Beers takes down Jeff Hungerford. Lori Cloys Chupa took down Sue in FP65. Rick Vokes beat Mark Horn. Congrats to Rick by 14. Pete May also edged out Barry Fisher by 2. And then we had a number of other, a whole bunch of other amateur competitors. So congratulations, everyone. Just as Jennifer talked about, if this didn't conflict with our other work doing Disc Golf Media, I would be there either participating or filming, or participating and filming. These are our peeps.
It's our generation.
We're getting older, Johnny.
No.
Apparently we are.
I'm like Kyle Klein over here.
Yep. Nope.
No.
You're yep.
Gannon Burr.
You're old enough to be Kyle's father. So no, you're not.
Fine.
But just so many amazing humans and people over there, and congrats, and obviously they pulled off a great event, and it sounded, and that was unanimous as everyone talked about how great the event was. So congrats to you guys for doing making an incredible effort and succeeding. All right. That's what I wanted to make sure we got in. We got a few other random topics for you guys. Actually, a lot of them.
We do. And we can talk about them kind of in the after show, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So we're going to close things out. We appreciate you guys for joining us. If you don't know already, the after show, believe it or not, is when we ramble on about other things, largely and often disc golf related, but sometimes not. We've got a slew of other topics that either resurface or somehow come upon us, and next thing you know, we're rambling about those things. So we're going to close out. We got to, of course, thank Chris Dickerson. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations to him. And as I mentioned, Haley King, congrats to her as well for taking down the final event on the Disc Golf Pro Tour regular season. And Jennifer Allen for picking up that Masters victory over at the Tim Selinsky PDGA Major that went down. For Johnny V and myself, this has been podcast 368. We're going to have the after show. We've got giveaways. We've got all sorts of
Dismember.
good stuff. Yeah. We're not going to dismember you. I think that was a different show, but we do have a disc member package that's going to be given away for free. All you got to do is support us via Patreon. For Johnny and myself, we'll see you in the after show in just a few minutes when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashboxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 368's After
Show.
Here we are. It's some after show action.
So, when most people listen to this, it's Friday. I assume.
Friday, gonna get down on Friday. There's some Rebecca Black for you guys. I got more trivia about Rebecca in just a minute, but go on.
Do you really?
I do.
10 years.
I'm just gonna spoil the quote unquote trivia for you. When Full House rebooted into Fuller House
This
for
is
Netflix.
going nowhere good fast, but go ahead.
It is Rebecca Black that did the recording for the new Fuller House intro.
Awesome. Do you know that it's been that I believe so Rebecca Black, she sang Friday.
Yep.
She always reminds me, and I know it's not the same artist, but Call Me Maybe.
Yeah, Carly Rae Jepsen.
Carly Rae Jepsen.
Oh, it might have been Carly Rae that did it now. Dang it. You might have corrected me.
I think I corrected you, Terry
Damn
Miller.
it. Now I'm going to look.
I'm
That would make more sense.
That would make way more sense. But it's the 10-year anniversary of Call Me Maybe. Like this week. Came out 10 years ago.
No way.
Pretty sure.
No, I don't think so, because here's why I know.
All right, Terry.
Because at the 2008 Worlds, or it was the 2014 AM Worlds, we were in Michigan. I could have swore the Olympics were on, and it was an Olympic thing.
Released November. It says, that album. Released in 2012, Terry.
So the 2013, was it a joke at the 2013 Olympics? That doesn't make sense because the Summer Olympics.
The album was released in 2012, it says. I had heard it was 10 years, so.
But so that. Yeah, and yeah, everywhere you look, the Fuller House theme, that was Carly Rae Jepsen. So that part I was incorrect on.
Or maybe it was 10 years. I'm sorry, maybe it was 10 years for Rebecca Black this week.
That makes more sense.
But I mean,
was it released on a Friday? That makes so you and I
either one, it was one
this
off.
shows how sad we are, folks. You and I have officially crossed our wires on Carly Rae Jepsen and Rebecca Black. That I think
Two
that's probably a good
42-year-old men.
42. We're older than that now.
Am I 44 now? God.
No.
43?
We're both 43, I think.
We're both 43 now.
Oh, gosh. Oh, this is going nowhere quick, as you said.
Anyway, no, as I was getting to a slightly more serious subject, most people listen to this on Friday.
Okay.
And if you're listening to this on Friday, I want you to reach out to one Bobby Brown. Cool Daddy Slick Breeze.
Cool Daddy Slick Breeze.
Yeah, he says it way better than you.
He should.
He announced this week that he is leaving Dynamic Discs, moving to Tulsa, which is in Oklahoma, still, to be closer to family. And I want to put it out there. He had done something on his Instagram about how, he was having issues, personal issues and this and that after a divorce he had, and just he felt that family was the most important thing to him, and his family is in Oklahoma. And he had talked about, weighing his family with his disc golf legacy, trying to create something. And I want to put it out on record that I truly believe disc golf wouldn't be where it is without Bobby Brown. He is and was a disc golf innovator. He was one of the very first new media players in our sport. He pushed dynamic discs to, I can't put it all on him, but his foresight, along with a lot of the other people there, with Jeremy and Eric and a lot of the whole team there, helped push dynamic disc to where it is today. And I truly believe that DD wouldn't be where they're at without Bobby. He had one of the first, he was right there with us having one of the first podcasts in the sport, even prior to us a little bit, I believe. He's always looking to push the medium. He's always looking to push any sort of new thing and try something out. He was there to help, and now we'll get a little personal. He was there to help Smashbox out back in the day. He was a big backer with us. So if you get the chance, reach out to Bobby and thank him today on Friday. If you're listening to this early, thank him whenever, because without Bobby, I truly don't believe that disc golf would be where it's at today. I'm not saying it's because of him. We'd probably still be doing great. But we could maybe take a few steps back, a couple feet, we'll say, without Bobby Brown doing what he's doing. So from Smashbox and me, for sure, and I'm sure Terry, we say that Bobby Brown is a commodity no matter what, and he will be missed in the disc golf community until he decides what he's going to do. He says it's not the end of seeing him, so I'm really excited to find out what he comes up with next. But shout out to him, and hopefully he gets his... I don't want to say he gets his life together, because it's not like he's doing better than I've ever seen him. The dude is tore up now. He's lost like 3,000 pounds, and he looks great. But once he figures out what he wants to do in Tulsa or Oklahoma area, I'm really looking forward to seeing what he brings back to the sport. Yeah,
and obviously I do echo all of that and then some. Just such a kind soul on top of it, and friendly, and there's so many times where I could, or either of us, and plenty of other people I'm sure, could just call him and have a chat that didn't have to be on the record, or it could be totally new or different, or like you're saying, innovative, and you could just have these frank conversations, but yet you were just talking to another guy that was thoughtful and understood, and was this incredible either sounding board or whether he just needed to absorb it, or you're looking for that, or if you were looking for direct feedback. I couldn't think of a better guy. Often it would be easy just to skip over Johnny V. I'd be like, okay, Bobby knows what he's talking about. I'm not going to ask you. I'll just go ask Bobby.
I go to Bobby. There's so many times that I have gone to Bobby with ideas and be like, hey, I'll skip over Terry and just be like, hey, Bobby, what do you think about this? Because Bobby was and is still such a resource, and he knows what he's doing, and he has such a good head on his shoulders. It was just always a good perspective to have from Bobby. So just, again, we can't say it enough. Cool Daddy Slick Breeze. I mean, I was thinking back, like, he had one of the first pay-per-view post-production rounds out there. Like, you used to have to, it was like you had to pay a couple bucks online to see this round with, I think, Nicola Castro and Eric McCabe and whomever he had on there. He was one of the first to do that. It was amazing, some of the stuff he was doing 10, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. Just, again, a pioneer in disc golf media, 100%. So no matter what you think about, I'm talking to Bobby now, no matter what you think about your disc golf legacy, it's cemented. It's out there. You are one of the founding media fathers, period.
Yeah. And, Bobby also, if you really go way back too, he was part of the team when we were doing a lot of work with Disc Golf Planet. I remember one of the first times that we had interactions with him personally, or in person, face-to-face, it was at the Memorial, and it was with John Dusler and Terry Roddy and doing just a number of things. I don't think it was just photography. I think it was a number of things that he was brought in to be part of the one of the original live media teams that ever existed. So clearly, disc golf, like you said, is better because of him, and so much of what he's done will continue to carry forward. And I'm excited to see what that might mean for him, whether it's inside the sport or on the fringe or outside, or whether it's I don't want to say exclusive's not the word. Whether there's another situation that he aligns with, or if it's something that maybe he even creates on his own. I mean, there's obviously the possibilities are endless. So, yeah, that's what we can say to give all the correct gushing that's deserved for Bobby Brown. So we love you, buddy. You already know that, but we need the whole world to know that we certainly love you and we wish you the best of luck. And anytime we could get Johnny V out of this seat and get you in there instead, I'll take you.
Much like last week when we got Terry out of the seat, we had Tyler Brickley in here.
Before we get into that, can we talk about his stupid commercial? One where he's ripping on all the other manufacturers, and way too many people don't get the joke because it's not stupid, and I'm just kidding. But I've seen
which one? Which?
So there's a recent commercial.
There's
the most recent commercial I saw was Under a Little Fire, because and fire is, I use the term loosely, because he was referencing some DGA baskets to some other baskets which he didn't explicitly name, and just the joke was just 100,000 feet over their heads, and they couldn't take that, and it's fine. Humor's obviously subjective, but if you took the commercial seriously, then yes, you're starting off on the wrong foot.
Was it this commercial?
Yes. Is it playing?
Of our competitors' premium basket models. The Mach 7 is clearly the more durable of the two, especially considering these baskets are the exact same age, give or take about 8 years. This online reviewer said, if I were going to buy a new basket today, it would be the DGA Mach 7. Of course, I'm not in the market as I already own the is this the best?
We get to charge DGA for this, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, this is a terrible review.
We're going to get sued by everyone
we'll cut
else.
This part, I'll figure out a different way to sell it. Thanks for watching. Oh, my. Wow, whoops. Well, that's not very safe.
Good. Great commercial.
I love Tyler Brickley's commercials. It's when I'm sitting in the booth and I don't hear commercials when we play them because I don't really need to hear them because we're talking about other things, coordinating. His are the ones that I see the commercials and I go, oh, I wish I was listening to this one because they're always so funny and good.
Yeah. Well, I get it. That kind of humor might not be for you, but if you didn't recognize that it was supposed to be humorous, then again, you're starting off on the wrong foot. Just if you can't see that, you have larger problems in your life. Period. If you can't find that, you don't have to find. If you don't have to, I'll say this: you don't have to find it funny. You have to at least realize the intent of the commercial, though, was to be humorous, and you may not find it funny. That's fine. Whatever, we can disagree on that, but you have to understand that it was at least produced with the intent of being funny and not being serious.
Which is most of what Tyler does. He intends to be funny.
Yes,
And
yes.
then
He kills it. He kills that.
He kills that
humor
intentions.
intention.
He kills that humor intention.
All right. So anyway, yes, great, great, and thank you to the super chat, Tyler Brickley and friends, $10 for DGA ad space. Yes, you just forgot 10. Other than that, you're good, Tyler.
Yeah, we're not cheap here at Smashbox. We're not. We're easily bought.
Yes.
Not easily bought. Yeah.
Anyway, so again, I'm a little sad if you missed the humor in that. I wish you more moving forward, whoever you might be, because there were plenty.
I'm sure there were.
Plenty.
Anytime you even make a hint of a joke in another company, there's going to be people who are like, meh. So,
all
whatever.
right. Also,
don't
in
care.
other news, big announcement this last weekend that was made 100% public. Simon Lizotte and fiancée Natalia are expecting a baby boy.
Yeah.
Congratulations, of course, to Simon and Natalia. So,
how far do you think he can throw it?
Who's throwing what here?
I'll leave that up to your judgment.
Imagination?
Yeah, leave that up to your imagination.
Good question.
Just a question, just in general.
We'll see how that works out for them. But Simon Lizotte, I think originally via in the Jomez video this upcoming weekend, had announced it, and then there were some other places that continued to share and whatnot. So congratulations to them. In other news, that's unfortunately the opposite of birth. Norm Macdonald, if we're going to time and date stamp today, Norm Macdonald had passed away.
He's kind of our OG weekend update guy from our generation. He's the one that, I mean, depending on when you got into Saturday Night Live, he was kind of the first that we saw from our prime years, I would say, was Norm Macdonald. And then, but I always thought Norm was funny. It was unfortunate to hear of his passing after like an 8 or 6 year battle with cancer, 9-year battle with cancer. So always a funny guy. Take a look. I was looking and watching some video of him, and one of the funniest ones I saw was on Conan O'Brien's last night at the Tonight Show. Now, you have to go back and remember that, like, he did the late night show with Conan O'Brien. They bumped him up to the big leagues to do the Tonight Show. He lasted a few months before basically they kicked him off, and they brought Jay Leno back, and then Jimmy Fallon took it. So there was a big hubbub in late night about, Conan getting kicked off. And so he came on the very last night that Conan was doing the Tonight Show with a welcome basket telling him how great he was doing of a job. and he's like, oh yeah, this basket's like 3 months old. And he reads the card, and it's like, it's hilarious. And it made me laugh today out loud. And Norm was always very, very funny. He had a pretty good podcast too out there for a while. I listened to 1 or 2 episodes. Not a big fan of the podcast, just because there's a lot of media to consume, and that wasn't in my agenda to partake in. But ultimately, a funny guy.
Okay, yeah. So that hit the news today. Obviously, like every passing, it hits different generations, different individuals a little bit differently, but nonetheless, you never love the idea or like the idea of anyone passing, especially due to a battle with cancer. So all right, a couple of things that we're gonna have in the next week or two, and I just need to get them all finalized and nailed down. DJ Heck Yeah did send me a message, was talking with regard to some stuff he's working on with the USDGC and the Throw Pink event, and I know that he reached out to me and wanted to discuss that. So maybe next week, just thinking ahead as we move into the next few weekends and what's out there and lurking, we'll likely have a conversation with more regard to Throw Pink and some of those details. Trying to remember. Also, locally, if you're in the Milwaukee area, anywhere in the southeastern Wisconsin, I have teamed up with the MIDI disc golf guys, or the MIDI group, and we're going to be doing something. We've talked about some
You're
of
gonna
the...
make some digital music.
Yes, exactly. We've talked about and done some of the indoor putting leagues that they started up with last year. A lot of fun. They've done a lot of good stuff and supported some of my events. Well, in the first weekend of October, we're going to be doing an event at a temporary course here in the Milwaukee area, not far from, well, your old house.
But, come on, I move away.
Yeah, I know. And then this temporary layout sets up for one weekend. The good news is you can be there. You can come join us. So that's taking place.
Weekend? I don't know.
Yeah, you actually are, because I am. So
it's what weekend? First weekend October?
It is October 2nd. So technically, that's
USDGC prep day.
Yeah,
okay.
that is the weekend before USDGC. Well, the USDGC will start on the 6th and go through the 9th. And then the weekend prior to that is going to be the Music City Open. So October 2nd, mark your calendar. There's going to be some vendors, temporary course, fun layout, some food carts, music, all that kind of stuff taking place all in the Milwaukee area. And we set up for some vending. A couple different vendors will be out there, so it should be a lot of fun.
Great. I will check that out.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that...
You better be there. I need you to work my booth for a while.
I probably will. Yeah. Are they going to do putting leagues again this winter? Because I didn't get a chance to go to any of them last year.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that this winter will be different.
I'm not certain as to what their exact plans are, but hopefully, and if they are, we're there.
I hope so. We'll be there.
I had the pleasure. I don't know how much I get to share with you, but I had the pleasure of also seeing a couple other faces from disc golf, current and past, of one. Avery Jenkins this weekend.
I heard he was in the Bend area.
Yeah, he was.
He was installing some 9-hole course for disc golf park.
Yeah, he had a couple of different projects that were taking place in the Portland area, and then he was able to come down and visit, or come over to visit in Bend, where we were in the studio this weekend. So it was great to get to see him. Also, got to see Jamie Thomas, who was bringing his family to Bend this weekend for an outright, legitimate vacation. They were looking for a cool place to go, and Bend is obviously just that. So very cool. And, of course, Bevel and some other places are good to stop at and take part of. And Sally West, happy birthday to you. It was good seeing you this weekend.
I was actually hoping that we were going to get Avery on the broadcast, because I heard he was there, and I thought, well, that'd be kind of cool to
sneak him in for a little bit.
Have Avery kind of slide in. You've got another extra headset, and just kind of chat for about, I don't know, 20 minutes, half hour about the golf. The guy knows a lot about golf. He's played, I believe it's 12,000 courses, and he's a world champion. I mean, can't go wrong with that. But unfortunately, the timing didn't work out, is my understanding. So,
yes, it was. He tacked another dozen or so courses on his playlist over the weekend. So, mixing a little business with pleasure, being able to get out there and do some playing. All right. See, Nightbot is getting at it. Well, Nightbot's the same as it is always, right? That's just set up to go as it is. See, plenty of our regulars out there. Galactic Conqueror just chimes in saying, Giants clinch, Dodgers clench.
Baseball talk.
Oh, I was thinking the New York Giants. I thought they maybe clinched something already.
Nope. It's
last weekend.
Little early for that week 1 football.
Speaking of which,
I like to call this the first week of preseason, the last week of preseason for the Packers.
Yeah,
it didn't go so hot.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you nor I got to see really 1 minute of the Packer game, really, because
I watched about 10. I watched the last 10 or 15 minutes. I was able to kind of get up here. We had friends over. My wife had friends over, and so I sat down, and I already knew what the score was. I sat down, and I was like, eh. Right when I walked in is when they kind of put in Jordan Love, and so I was like, oh, let's see how this guy goes.
So things didn't go well for the old the Pack there, hey, huh?
No, the Pack there, hey didn't. They didn't show up. So we're hoping that it's not a long-term issue, but we'll see. Packer.
Yeah, talking Packers thing. We can quit talking Packers. It was apparently embarrassing. So
it was very embarrassing.
I personally did not see any of it. So not my fault this time. All right, we have a giveaway. I know we're going to get at that. Is that correct? You're working on that. All right.
We're gonna have 2 giveaways.
Yes, last weekend.
We didn't do a giveaway last weekend when Tyler Brickley was here. You know, we just I tried to give away Tyler Brickley and it wouldn't work. So this week we're gonna have a disc member box and we're gonna have something out of Terry's stash.
Yes.
You like what I did there? I got all my discs organized.
Wow,
here.
that's
I put them in boxes. I'm actually short 1 box. I have. I kind of sorted them. I wasn't sure how. Like, I reached out to people like the best way to sort your discs, and I've heard some people say like color, which I didn't like.
You're talking long-term storage.
Yep. So if I want to find something in the future, if someone says, "Oh, hey John, do you happen to have CET birds?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I've got like 4 of them." How do I go about putting them where I can find them easily? So I failed at that. In general,
I mean, I think it would be pretty easy. I think there's two main. Well, I mean, there's a couple of very logical ways to do it.
There are. So, do you keep all your collectibles together, all your like valuable discs? Like, let's say you have, as I do, first run MRXs, first run MRVs. Do those go with your CET birds?
Well, are you gonna ever throw them?
Never. Not anymore. No.
Okay. In your case,
or do I put them in with everything else? Just like, oh hey, I'm going to put the MRVs in with the Discraft because right now they're sorted by manufacturer and then by mold. So I mean, they're not quite up here. Like there's Discraft putters, mid ranges, drivers. I think that Ace Race one's technically a driver, but it's like it's more of an mid-range. I don't know exactly what it is. It's like from 2005 or 2007 or something like that. And then there's Innova drivers, Innova mids and putters. And down here, I put in a whole separate bin all the Paul Macbeth discs I had, all the claw
the original
stamps.
4 claw.
That's right. I got a box of those.
So it's easy when I steal 1 box.
You can get 1 box, or if you want the box of first round buzzes.
Okay.
I mean, and then that one is signed discs. Any discs I had signed, I put in a bag, and I have them in a separate. But do you put the collectibles in with the regular ones, or do you separate them out? That's really what I was curious about. Like,
yeah, I would separate them. I would keep collectibles. I mean, when we're talking about and a collection of your size.
Yes.
It's so adorable.
It is cute. Yeah.
I keep this many Frisbees in my car. No, I don't. Don't break into my car. No, when you're looking at something of this size, if I were you, yes, I would break them out as essentially as collectibles so that they're ones you're either never touching or ones you're possibly showing off or trading or whatever, but you're essentially never touching them. There's no reason for those ever to get mixed in with what might be a bin you go and say, oh man, I just lost my last MRV. I want to grab another one or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Your collectibles could be entirely separated. That's the way I would go.
This collecting guy said, CET bird, JVD said it. Who's got them? I have like 4 of them. I've got 2 of the Dayglow yellow ones and 2 orange ones. So the CET birds, the orange ones they're marked up a little bit. I mean, I think all of them maybe I have like at least a little marker on them. But the 2 CET birds, I don't know if I've ever thrown them. But they've got wear from being in boxes and being moved around. But
storage wear, bro.
Yeah, storage wear, bro. But yeah, that's CET birds. I also have, whatever, I have a couple other CE discs. But then again, I don't also know what's valuable. So I was digging through and I found, I think, what is a first run pig with the Innova star stamp on it.
Is it a white one?
Yes.
I'm not familiar. You would have. You could probably tell me where I got it from. I feel like you got that in Japan.
I might have.
No, maybe it wasn't. I feel like it was around that time.
It wasn't 150.
I know it wasn't, but they like.
But I took a picture. I showed someone. So I'm like, holy crap! And I'm like, I don't know if it's worth anything. Like, it's probably worth something to somebody.
Oh yeah.
A couple old Blizzard discs, which some people are like,
depends on what they are.
Exactly. Yeah. And those, I'm like, I don't know the collectability of some of that stuff, so it just went in with the regular bins. And anything, again, like a first run XL is technically collectible to somebody, maybe, but it's really not worth anything to anybody. Like, nobody's dying to get first run XLs, maybe other than Ken Cry, local Wisconsin guy.
Yeah.
So it's things like that or like the old Ace Race discs, or whatever that an X putter, PUTT. It's not made. It's OOP.
Yeah, it is.
But it's not. Nobody wants it. So, or
you'd be yeah. Well, that's the funny part. And just to bring this full circle for everyone, it's been funny, obviously, as Facebook has gotten more serious throughout the years, that there is now a market for almost every single disc, and now it's easier than ever to connect with that person, because you used to have to put it up on like an eBay, and if that one person or one of those 3 people in the world that really love a particular disc didn't shop on eBay or never looked to eBay or never got into a bidding war with anybody else, then you're out of luck. But now you can post just about any disc somewhere on one of the Facebook groups, and somebody will then know somebody who's like, oh yeah, I don't like those discs, I hate those, but I know my friend does, and the next thing you know, the friend gets tagged. That's clearly one of the beauties to what beautiful things that we found about Facebook. And all of the markets that are out there. It's been an interesting ride for someone who's way back in almost exclusively the eBay days to now what the Facebook market can do for you as well. Yeah.
Or my box of Halo. I've got a couple other boxes a little further down there. Like I've got one box that just has what I think are like ordered discs I made. It's like that box is those Champions discs, the white box that had DD had all the champions, former world champion sign. I've got that. I think I've got the other DD box is like a Paige Pierce disc from when she. Yeah. I just left them in the box. I never even took them out. I've got a box of Kelvin Halo destroyers, black ones, the black Halo, which they're selling again now. They're on the page.
And as we all know, sometimes disc can hit right away and they're hot, and they may never get as hot again, or you store them, and then in a few years it finds out that they were actually a hot item, because then they never ran them again.
Exactly.
There's a lot of that. Adam asks on the board, Blizzard Boss worth anything? I have one. Didn't know some had value. Yeah, it depends whether there's bubbles in the flight plate or bubbles in the actual disc and whatnot, what the weight is. Somebody out there somewhere might pay you above retail for it. It all kind of depends. I have often heard a lot of conversation around some of the early Blizzard discs, and some that just truly are more sought after than others, and then therefore the value that they might carry. But I'll say this as a somewhat of a generic statement. If it had bubbles in the rim and or flight plate, it likely will have more value than if it doesn't. I think that's a fair generic statement to throw out there. Unless you're selling them to me, then they're not really worth anything. You could just, how many Brodies you got, bro?
I have 0 Brodies.
All right. Well, you're gonna have to get up on that. And in similar news, because it's obviously a big deal, he had him and his wife, Kelsey, have just recently completed their move. Moving from Texas, where I don't know how many years he's been there, but I think it's been quite a few. They've recently moved from Texas to Virginia, and I have not listened to any of the specific explanation, we'll say, out of his mouth, but obviously it's
to be in your foundation.
Yeah, it's
the warehouse, the
very much, yeah.
That's
all part of that overall composition, and it makes perfect sense. Ray says Brody disappeared around Ledgestone for the 2nd year in a row this year for COVID. Interesting to see how the season looks next year. Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, obviously anyone that suffers from COVID, it'll be interesting to see if there's any effects to that in any capacity. It was no secret either that he also has had Lyme, or will continue to live with Lyme. And whether those two will cross over or intermingle, and what that's going to mean for his overall health. Hopefully, he has a full, steady, constant recovery from all of that. I think the timing is nothing more than coincidental, though. I'm not sure if that's what you're even mentioning, but I think it's just the timing. I know that Brody and Paul and a number of other solid players are planning on competing this weekend at the Battle at Bedford, which is one reason why you're not seeing
Paul at the match play event.
Yeah, Paul
that's
at
kind
the
of the
match play
introduction to his tournament, to his course. Not the Battle of Bedford, but he said he was going to do something at his particular course.
Yeah, he's got some obligations there, and I think one of these is outdated because it does say Albert Tom. Unless Albert's coming back, and that was a placeholder or not, I don't know. It does, as I'm looking right now, it's showing that Paul, and I just sorted by ratings, Paul Macbeth, Albert Tom, Zach Melton, Evan Smith, Brody Smith, Cody Bradshaw, Stephen Curry, Luke Sampson, Matthew Thompson, and so on. That's what when you're looking by rating, that's what we're seeing on the MPO side. And it's a pretty sizable, the Open has 117 competitors. And then on Open Women, which is where I believe that Elaine King edged out Hannah Macbeth last year by a single stroke, I think on the final hole, if I recall. We got Natalie Ryan, Macy Valadiez out of Tennessee, Ellen Widboom, Elaine King, Stacy Ronsley, and Hannah Macbeth, Brooke Johnson, Aaron Snapp, and Jay McGuire. So that's what we see on the FPO side. I'm
excited to see Natalie Ryan, how she progresses. She can throw a mile.
Yeah.
And it looks like from the little bit we've seen of her on the broadcasts, she's a very streaky player. Like she gets herself
all or nothing.
Yeah, she gets herself into some major trouble, or she's birdieing she'll be the only person to birdie hole 18 or something weird.
Yep.
And you're like, how does that happen? Yet you watch her go 7-2, 7-2, 7, yeah. And you're just kind of like, I see what she's doing. She, we used to call a local guy around here like a sprinkler, where he could throw a mile, but you weren't quite sure where it was going to go. That might be Natalie right now until she can dial it in.
Yeah, let's hope that's the case. All right, so I'm going to read a few questions and comments off the board. Dan Harback, you are a sweetheart. Thank you,
Dan,
for stepping up in little super chat action. Says T-Dog commentating has been very good. Smashbox, great job as always. JVD, the man.
You were getting some love on some of the social medias for
I doubt it. I doubt it.
I mean, it's for the best reason, for your lack of talking. Just saying that you were letting the broadcast breathe a little more, and people noticed that more, a little bit more. So, and I said that I think that's a direct Terry thing that you and I have talked about that, and a lot of people have talked about it, but that you and I have talked about how, in general, the broadcasts need to breathe a little bit. And my motto is, if you think you're talking too little, you're still probably talking 10% too much.
Yeah.
That's in general what I tell people. It's the old adage of they gave you when you were in middle school, when you started to learn how to give speeches.
Speak when spoken? No.
It was always everybody feels, you write out what you feel is a 5-minute speech. You get up there and it's a 2.5-minute speech because you burn through it so fast. There's no pauses. There's no nothing. Like you get up there, you're nervous. You just get your thoughts out and you're done. That's the way commentary has been in the past a little bit. So I'm curious to see how it moves in the future with other commentators, or what it is there, Terry. But I would say great job this weekend.
Well, thank you. I will also follow it up and say, in spending not just 4 days of doing commentary with these people, but also Elaine, Val, and Nate, being around them, and then as funny as this sounds, as soon as we get out of the booth and out of the studio for the day, we then go talk about what happened during the day. And there is a very conscious decision about the improvements and things we want to try and do better. And I know Elaine asked for it on Facebook almost every single round as to things that people like or dislike. And we all know that can be a slippery slope only from the fact that some people won't be critical enough. Some people may be a little almost too critical to where they're maybe addressing things that are out of our control. But you got to take that either somewhere in the middle. There's a happy medium there, and constructive feedback is always going to win out. As I've said before, just saying, "Oh, hey, dude, shut your fat face," that's not really constructive.
Well,
I never want to hear
you
again.
Positive.
Shut your fat face. I never want to hear you again, and you're ugly. That isn't that's not going to help us get better as a broadcast. It might be your personal opinion, but it won't help us get better as a broadcast. So it's always going to be true that if there's a word we're mispronouncing, if there's a phrase or a word we're using too much, all of those
Absolutely.
types of things are talked about and are getting talked about more and more frequently. So yes, there is a conscious decision to address some of those things. And I feel like I'll give you one little example. Nate and Val were talking about kind of a philosophy that they came up with this weekend, or that they've come up with recently, is saying if a fellow person in the booth says something and Nate, for instance, doesn't say anything after that, just know that he probably agrees, but doesn't need to further the point or belabor the point, I guess. And that's a really good philosophy, because I feel like you find it's so easy, and it's part of just normal communication with other humans. You find that when you're saying something, a natural response of active listening is to give some form of affirmation. The problem is you don't necessarily need an affirmation in that setting all the time.
You're right, Terry.
Exactly. So that's I thought was a really good observation, and then a good kind of philosophy for us to think about while we were in the booth. That if somebody says something bright or insightful or just makes a statement and you might fully agree with it, you just don't have to necessarily say, yeah, I agree with that, or give any kind of verbal affirmation. So I thought that was great. And hopefully we'll just continue to grow and thrive and get better.
Racerhausen asks, how is the cell coverage at the match play event? Have you tried broadcasting from there before? No idea. I think they did some testing ahead of time. It is at a country club. I don't believe it's too far out of the way. So I'm going to guess that it's good enough, but I have not seen anything particular. I'm guessing that they either did that today or yesterday. That's probably today would be the day that they would have done a little bit of testing if it's an unknown area. So we'll see.
Ray had asked earlier, Terry says Terry needs to visit the last Blockbuster the next time you go up there. When I was in Bend last year for one of my first events of being in Bend and doing commentary, I did visit the last Blockbuster, and I didn't go in, but I did take pictures of it. That's kind of one of like little Ben's something they're on the map for, besides all this other great stuff. But they have the last existing Blockbuster in the world that was open that you could still rent videos from. And I did not look at it in, say, the last 6 months, but they were open last year when I went there, and I did take a picture of it at one point. So, Ray, I got you there. Keith, you're not alone. He says, Tear Bear's shirt gives me the urge for some chocolate chip ice cream. And my daughter just tonight said,
mint
yes, I very much think it is mint ice cream. I can totally understand that. I've said this before, when I got this shirt, along with a few others sometime recently, what I hate about it when I get a brand new shirt like this that has this really, I'll call it a subtle pattern. Sometimes when I look down, I think I've spilt something on me, and it's just really one of these little, I think these are little toucans.
Those are toucans.
Yeah, they're little toucans. It very much frustrates me because I look down and I think I've spilt something on my shirt. And so when you get a fresh pattern shirt of this nature, just know you might drive yourself crazy with it.
Let's give something away, Terry Miller.
I'm good with that.
All right. For those of you that maybe are new to the show because you were a huge Chris Dickerson fan, or you just found Terry Miller on the broadcast and you were like, holy crap, I need to hear more from that guy. He didn't talk nearly enough on the broadcast, so I'm going to follow his podcast. You can support us by going to patreon.com/SmashboxTV for as little as $1 a week. You can support us. Give us your money.
It's like a less than a cup of coffee, and I think they've made whole sites off that concept.
They have. It is less than a cup of coffee. So again, patreon.com/SmashboxTV, and you will be eligible for our weekly giveaway. This week we are giving away a disc member box that someone told me has the disc retriever in it.
Oh, don't spoil it.
I'm going to spoil it. It's a thicker box.
Yeah.
I was wondering why.
Thicker box. Certainly is a thicker box.
Anyway, we have 188 people eligible for our giveaway this week. Terry Miller, I need to know, What number do we do?
Oh, man. What number? We're on 368. Dickerson and Haley just won. 10th stop on the tour. Wow, that is tough. This is the second time I've been here for a Smashbox TV podcast out of your new house.
The new studio.
So we'll go 2.
All right.
Second one.
Second number. All right, our first number, and this is for the disc member box, by the way, because we're going to do 2 giveaways tonight.
Holy cow.
This one is for the disc member box. 132 is the first number. The second number is 55. I sorted them by first name. So 55, I have to turn that off so that people don't see email addresses. Scroll up to 55. And David Hurd. David Hurd. Congratulations, David Hurd. You just got yourself a shirt, or you're about to get yourself a shirt in the mail as well. But you won the disc member box, so congratulations, David Hurd. We will make sure that you get this disc member box in the next few weeks. I'm being told that there's actually like a waiting list now to be a disc member. So I don't know, maybe drop Smashbox's name in and it'll bump you up like 1 or 2 places in that waiting list. Not like up to the top, but just barely, like just kind of it'll nudge you. But we'll say it will.
We'll say that it will.
Terry, we have one more giveaway. What is your thought? Let's bring this back up so everyone can see the numbers.
Well, someone Sam had a great idea and said three players with their first win of a tour or major this weekend, and I said that's incorrect. Brad Schick has never won a major. Wow,
or
a major either. So we can't go with him. Or go with that because I don't have time to go through every single person that won this weekend at the Tim Selinsky to see if it was their first ever major win. So we're not going to go with that. We're going to go with, I said it earlier, October 2nd is going to be the day for this local event. So we're going to, 2 more.
So
October 2nd.
10 for October.
No, 2 more.
Oh, 2 more.
So we're just going to click 2 more through.
All right, 2 more through. Let me get those. All right, so our next number is 54. Wow, went from 55 to 54.
And if this one goes to
53, then I'm going to have a psych. The next number and the winner of something that Terry's going to provide, probably a disc of some sort, is number 5.
Number 5.
Number 5. Johnny 5 is alive.
Yes.
We're going to scroll up to the top. Is that?
No, you're off.
Am I?
The highlight one. Yeah.
This one right here? Is this off? I can't tell. The thing is in the way. Yeah. No.
One more down.
No, it's right there. It's Alex Diggins.
Yeah.
Alex Diggins.
Alex Diggins.
This microphone arm is right in line with where all the numbers are, and I have to move the monitor, and it doesn't matter where I move it, I can't see that number. So, Alex Diggins. Congratulations. So, Terry, I'll mark this one, and we'll get your email stuff, and we'll make sure that is all sent out to you in the next few weeks.
Or months or days.
Or months or days. Probably days.
It actually, now that I'm home.
Terry's been doing pretty good about that.
Yeah. The last couple of weeks I've had off because I've been gone. But now that I'm home, I say it all the time. You are not hurting my feelings. Please feel free to reach out to me directly if you are owed something from our giveaways. We never want to slight anyone. We just want to make you wait longer. Well, we don't want to, but sometimes you do. And also sometimes we simply need for you to confirm your mailing address with us because there has been a few too many times where I've sent something out and it's come back because we don't have your correct address. So we're just throwing money away at that point. So make sure we've got your correct mailing address and let's get some free stuff out to you. We are happy to do so, but I'm going to be home for a little while. So that's why I'm saying I want to get caught up on any that might be lingering. And I know there's at least 1 or 2 that
there's gotta be
are lingering right now. I totally know that. I'm going to finally get caught up fully. Yeah, we need our Bushnell. That's a good call.
He said use your Bushnell to see it. So I've noticed this over the last 2 months. My right eye is blurry.
Let's punch it.
My left eye is crystal clear, even without my glasses. Okay, not without my glasses. With my glasses, though, it's crystal clear. But with my glasses, my right eye is still blurry. I think I need to go into vision and get it checked out maybe my prescription has changed from me getting older.
Yes.
And my right eye needs to be,
kind of sounds like it,
adjusted. So I'm not a happy camper about this. I don't like buying new glasses. Maybe I'll just get new lenses for these glasses, but these are kind of all bent up because they're old and I don't take good care of my glasses. So Spock says he's going to a Lens Crafters tomorrow. Well, there you go. See, now that I'm in a different area of town, I need to find new places to go around here. I got to find the local, Lens Crafters or wherever it is, or Vision Quest, or I don't know, whatever the name of this eye store is going to be. I find and. So.
Would it be a good name for an eye store to be eyesore?
No. Eyesore is not a good thing in general.
Call it eyesore. And then when people are like, that's such a weird name, you're like, no, it's the eye store. You're like, your eyes are clearly bad. It's the eye store. No?
No.
Okay. I mean, it's just an idea.
Matt Schenk says, my wife had laser surgery and it's been life-changing for her. I've thought about it.
Yeah. Get with it already.
I truly have. But, and this is, I don't know if it's the opposite of narcissist. Maybe that's not the right word I'm looking for. Vanity. I don't like the way I look without glasses. I just don't like it. I've had glasses for so long; it's strange to me. And if I didn't have glasses, I don't know. It would be very strange for me.
I think you'd get used to it pretty quick.
I'm sure I would. My vision would be fine. But literally, the way I look without glasses, I don't like it. Even I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is put on my glasses. Even I don't like the way I look without glasses. Sunglasses, great. Regular glasses, great. Without glasses, there's something to me clearly about my face that I think I just look better with glasses. I'm a more attractive person to myself with glasses. When I look without them, I'm like, yeah.
And everyone else obviously says you look better when they're not wearing glasses.
Exactly. When they're not wearing glasses, I look great.
You look great.
But without them,
in fact, let me take out my contacts. I want to see you right now.
Please do. I've watched you fidget with your contacts more than enough. But in general, it's vanity. I don't know if that's vanity or the opposite of vanity.
Well, I mean, you're saying you look better with it.
I feel I do. So I guess that would be vanity.
That would still be vain, yeah, in a sense.
So anyway, that's
all right. Speaking of vanity, great segue over to my vanity plates. I
don't
have
see them. Sorry.
For many years have had and currently have DG Guy, DG GUI on my license plate. I don't think it could be any more fitting, of course, other than everyone that probably thinks it's short for dog guy would be my guess.
Could be dog guy.
Yep. I would have to assume almost everyone, nobody, unless you maybe see a sticker as well, which I only have like one disc golf sticker on my car, my Element. Everybody sees that and thinks dog guy, but that I digress. That doesn't matter, right?
Yep.
If I do find myself purchasing a new vehicle as early as tomorrow afternoon, and I do find myself then getting new plates because I'm going to keep my Element, do I put DG Guy on my new vehicle, or do I keep DG Guy on my Element and then get a new plate? And if so, the new plate, what do I put on it? This is keeping me up at night. So there's no better place to ask than right here.
I think you keep DG Guy on the Element.
Okay. That would also with
ease.
Logistically, it would be easier.
When you do travel and bring discs to places, you're probably going to use your Element. Like it's
correct.
More your travel. So you're still the DG Guy. Now the new one, and maybe it's already been done, but this was my idea like decades ago, was some form of the word disc golf on the plate.
Yeah, there's been tons of those. In fact, my previous plate was DISC GFR.
Disc golfer.
Yes, which is exactly what my brother thought he was hilariously saying every single time. Yeah. He's not funny.
Yeah. I never liked that one in general.
Yeah, DISC. Obviously, we in Wisconsin, I think it's maybe every state, there's a seven character limit, right?
I believe it's 7.
SCGFR. Yeah, 7.
Yeah.
So 7 character limit.
Because you could interchange the I with a 1 and O with a 0. I mean,
sure.
There are other ways to do it. You could do that. that's one option.
You could just do disc golf, DISCGLF.
Correct. I think that one's taken, but D1SC might not be.
Nobody
Or
dare
DSC.
suggest Ace Run.
Nope.
Just A, someone here in Milwaukee has it, and B, no.
I mean,
I
have to assume like something like T-Mill is great.
Yes, T-Mill. Now I thought of this literally on the way here tonight. TERBEAR does fit.
Tear Bear. I bet you Tear Bear's taken.
You think? I wonder if you could look it up in Wisconsin.
I don't know if you can look up vanity plates in Wisconsin, but maybe you can.
Well, yeah. There's.
I mean, you're not the only Terry. And
of course
I think
not.
Tear Bear, I bet you that's taken.
I bet you it's not.
I bet you it is.
Wisconsin plate transfer renewal look up owner free.
So right now.
Oh, here you go. You can punch them in. As we're both looking. Personalized plate search. Here we go. I would have a regular automobile, right?
Yeah.
License plate type.
I went to that same thing and it didn't let me search. So.
Special plate designs.
Yeah.
Does this just continue to bring you back to?
It continues to just.
DMVs are open. Renewed online. Personalized plate application.
It keeps like bringing me in a circle.
So you have to. It takes you to a PDF, and then it gives you options of your first choice, second choice, and third choice. And it does say meaning of choices.
You could do something like DG Talker. DGTLKR or something.
All right, guys. We need something clever here.
You could do Smashbox. Find a way to put that on there. But that's what our company car is going to have. So.
Well, if the company's paying for it, then yes. Then yes, I will. Yeah, Ray, you bring up a great point, and that's certainly... It does seem pretty obvious and logical. Just go 10738, my PDGA number. For those who know or care, great. And for those who don't, then so be it too. I mean, that will clearly confuse plenty of people that are just like, why does this guy have 10738 on his license plate? Like, because it is such a random number. The real question is, I'm going to go into Cognito women. Wow. Cognito window. That was close. And just type in 173. Well, that's not going to work either because my history is all jacked up. If I just type into Google 10738, it comes up with some finger protein, truck light, Snow White, Legos. Okay. I mean, at that point, nobody's getting to me. If you just Google literally the 5 digits. 10738. Bet you Yuli sues you if you use Terry Berry. Terry Bear would be cute. I had ASML 8UBU for song We Are the Borg. Resistance is futile. You will be a simulator. Okay. That's... There's something that no. Somebody said earlier 26 holes. I don't know what you're talking about, but I don't know if that's what you think I need for a plate, but no. Dan Harback, big shout out. Dan Harback, big smashy and super great guy is PDJ 5894. I'm going to sidetrack briefly. Disc Golf Pro Tour today made a post on Facebook and said, "Hey everyone."
And on Twitter.
Oh, and on Twitter. "Hey everyone, just checking in. What's your PDGA number?" And
what's the
lowest PDGA number out here?
Yeah, something like, what's the lowest PDGA number out here?
Our boy, big smashy, good friend of the show and in life, Tom McManus posted his, which is 1276. Someone's like, cool, thanks for ruining that.
Well, and on Twitter, there were a bunch of people in the 40. I put 14324. I put it out there, and everyone's like, oh, wow. And then Johnny McRae came and outdid me, and he was like, he's a 4-digit PDGA, I believe.
Yep.
And I was like, son of a. And I know I'm, with him out there, I'm out
Johnny McRae, what is he, 9582?
Something like that.
Or is he 9852? Him and Tom Jenkins are transposed. He must be 9852. That's going to be my final answer. 9852. Did I get it right? Tell me what I've won. Yes!
You got it.
Nailed it. Anyway, it's a fun little game I play with myself all the time, guessing PDGA numbers.
Yep.
Okay, so speaking of PDGA, great segue. You guys keep thinking about my license plate, and hopefully I'll get that nailed in. Next segue, maybe the last conversation of the night, is tiebreaker. There was some hubbub. That's what the kids say. There was some hubbub this weekend, and someone had suggested and said it's basically an old, antiquated, silly, stupid, that we are still using PDGA number.
Disagree.
As a tiebreaker.
Hard disagree.
State your case. We'll set it up for everyone. Let's say we're into the third round of the Green Mountain Championships, and the tiebreaker for how someone is, say, let's just say first card versus second card, the tiebreaker is how they did on the last round that they played.
Yep.
They both shot 54s. So then you go to the previous round played. Yep. They both shot 45s. Okay, so they're still tied. You go to the previous round to that. Let's just say somehow, with all the craziness, they both shot 54s. Again, so they're completely tied at that point. Who gets the nod for that final round, lead card versus top of the second card? And the answer right now is whomever has the lower PDGA number. Okay? That is officially the rule right now.
I think that is a great way to do it.
Why?
I think you are giving credence to the player who has been around longer.
Or their mommy and daddy signed them up?
Sure. Like if my son decided to play, he had the benefit of, me signing him up because he's 44324.
Mm-hmm.
He's my 12-year-old is lower than most of the people listening to this.
Yep.
And he's never played a PDGA event.
Ever. No.
But I like PDGA number. Now, the only other thing I could possibly see, but this only works, again, are we talking for universally or are we talking for Pro Tour? Because
you could have two separate sets of rules, which sounds awfully confusing and going to frustrate somebody, but go on.
With I agree. I'm saying with the advent of online scoring, it would be very, very easy to go like, oh, cool, we start with round. And if that's the same for everyone, you go by literally last hole score. Oh, you birdied 18, you parred it, the birdie gets it. You both birdied 18, you go back to 17 on round 3. You parred it, he birdied it, you get it. That would be, and with electronic scoring, you just can sort that all out like that. The TD doesn't have to do that.
It could be programmed. Yeah.
It could be programmed. But that does not work in general for B tiers, C tiers, some A tiers where maybe they don't have the live UDisc scoring. Maybe they've got PDGA live scoring, but maybe they don't. It doesn't work when everyone starts on different holes. When your last hole is 17, but your last hole is 15, do you go according to hole 18 and back, or do you go according to the last hole back? Like, oh, you were on 15 and you got a birdie, but your last hole was 18 and you got a par? No? Oh, do you just go back by 18? It seems like a pain in the butt for the TD. So in general, I don't like that for regular events. You could have that for majors and anything that UDisc or PDGA live scoring does, but that's why PDGA number is very simple. It's everywhere. You need one. You need to have one in order to play most events, anything B tier and above now. It just makes sense. I would love to hear.
Let me give you some.
Okay, you give me some.
Surprisingly, last hole was not one of the many.
I'm gonna shoot down or pump up your suggestions, Harry.
Last hole was one of the not quickly spit out suggestions, just so you know.
Which is strange because I think that's a decent one. Like I don't.
It's
love
better
it.
than some of the other dumb ones. I heard.
There are a lot of dumb people out there, not us.
We're
smart
very
people.
True.
And everyone watching right now is smart.
Yeah, I
mean,
you're
watching us.
Yeah, why wouldn't you be anywhere else? So I will let me see if I can. And I'm sorry if I'm picking on, but I'm really not sorry. And let me also preface this, just like it was put on one of the Facebook groups, is the fact that there's sponsorships at hand, there's endorsements, which card you're being covered for. Obviously, it's not just maybe a Jomez versus a gatekeeper, or a gatekeeper versus a such and such. It could be obviously the third card gets coverage and the fourth card doesn't, because that's just clearly where we're at. So those are some of the logic to help set it up. And I had
here's some of the ones I can imagine people saying. Well, your PDGA rating.
Correct.
That would be the number one thing that I think. The other thing that everybody
What
has.
if your rating's the same as the next guy?
That's a problem.
Okay, so then you go back to previous rating? Presumably, right?
No, that'd be
no.
That's do you know how big of a pain in the ass that would be to like?
It could be programmed.
Sure, but what about it? I'm thinking like B tiers.
Okay, well, yeah, then of course,
because then what? The tournament director has to go to the PDGA site when he's at whatever course where he gets maybe mild internet and try to search back for these two players. It's going to take him an extra 5 to 7 minutes to look all this crap up. No, that is a trash method.
Okay.
Trash.
Again, so we're almost having two conversations, but the other suggestions besides rating would be ranking.
So you're talking now, obviously, strictly for the
or not, but yeah, ranking. Let's just go along with rankings.
Let's just say I shoot an 8 under, and Eric Oakley shoots an 8 under. Eric Oakley is the 43rd whatever rated player. Sorry, Eric, I have no clue what you are, but I'm not ranked, so he outranks me, so he gets the coverage.
Yep.
Okay. And how?
Which ranking?
I was just about to say, are you using the UDisc ranking? Are you using the PDGA ranking?
Steve Dodge's ranking?
Steve Dodge's Disc Golf DG ranking? Ultra World's ranking? Our new company, DG ranking.
Yeah.
Where we rank all of the rankers.
PDGA World ranking, yeah.
And then we sort them. And then we re-rank them. We average out the rankings and create our own ranking of the rankings. And so
Yep.
Yeah.
So ranking, and then I think the same of, okay, so ranking, I will further the point too, when someone says PDGA rating, which I find hilarious because just like today, just like every single ratings update, the hundreds or thousands of people that post and talk about their ratings, up or down, usually only up, but up or down ratings, then to be followed up with all the other people, I don't care about ratings. Obviously you don't. And for the record, if it's not clear, I do care about ratings. Are they the end all be all? And should we be? We're clearly not awarding tournament championships based on what your rating is. So I'm not suggesting
you might be
that.
now. No,
why
literally. If you're tied with me and you get to be the first card, and I'm on the second card because your rating is better than mine, the first card goes off 15, 20, 25 minutes later than the second card. That could be a completely different set of circumstances. That could be a completely different weather, depending on where you get. You are literally now deciding the outcome of the tournament based on someone's rating.
Okay, well,
I'm just throwing it out there.
So, my issue becomes with is it the rating when you signed up? Is it the rating you got on Tuesday when it came out? And this is a weird major that started on a Monday, but the ratings changed on Tuesday, and now you're playing through Friday right now? Because at some point we might be playing on a Monday. So which rating would be my next question to that. The ratings, and then when the ratings are tied, then you're clearly going back to a previous rating. Whatever. Again, I understand. A very valid point was made that as I was opposing some of these, they're like, that's just programming that likely has to happen once. I got that, and I know technology's fancy and stuff, but that's, like you said, That's exclusively for the highest events when everyone's going to be current, everyone's going to have a rating. They may or may not have a ranking. And then again, let's argue about which ranking to use. Because like you just said, UDisc.
You'd use the PDG. You would use a PDGA ranking.
Oh, would you?
You would.
We're not using a PDGA number. Why are we giving them the benefit here? I'm being facetious, but that's my point. Like UDisc just created their own rating or ranking. And these are all done on UDisc if they're going to be. Why aren't we using UDisc? Somebody could make that argument. Anyway, someone suggested not necessarily last score, but what if you took how they played over the last 9 holes?
Too much math.
How about whoever had the most birdies?
Again, too much math. What happens?
But a computer can do that.
It can.
Does the eagle count double? That's a good question. But my problem with that is
that's why I like going back. I like my rather than like last 9, last 6, last 7, last biggest, longest birdie streak. This and that. The last hole, like 3 and a 2, you win. You finish off stronger. But I like that better.
I think better is subjective too. And I'll say this. So I had 9 birdies and 9 bogeys. If we're going with this whole individual hole thing, I had 9 birdies and 9 bogeys. I finished even for the round. You finished even for the round, and you had 18 pars. Who had the better round?
I've said that a lot. I remember that was if you go back ways.
I'm just saying, but who should get the nod here in this case if we're going to go with that logic?
Yeah, 18 birdies and 18 bogeys versus 18 pars. Who had the better round?
And so there again, you're going to find another subjective argument about which is better at that case. Who had the least amount of?
Okay, Terry.
What's more impressive, least amount of bogeys on a super tough course or most amount of birdies?
Does it matter? So here's my question, Terry. You and I play a 3-hole tournament.
Okay.
All right, just a 3-hole round for whatever reason. Let's just play pretend. And my final score is 9. I've got 3 pars, 3-3-3. But on my score card, I put 7-1-1. My final score is 9. Doesn't matter, truly. Do we penalize people for putting the wrong score down in a hole? We penalize them for putting the wrong score down as the final score, but does it truly matter how it gets there? If I reverse 2 numbers on hole 8 and 9, we mess up the scorecard because we forget to hand it off, and suddenly I fill in like I had a 2 and a 3 and a 3, and the guy there writes a 3, a 2, and a 3, whatever. Same numbers, just it transposes them. That's not a penalty. So in theory, I can write whatever the crap I want down on my scorecard.
Right, 53 on the first hole, and then 1
0 0 0 0 0 0 1.
Yeah.
And as long as my final score is correct, there is no PDGA penalty for writing the wrong score down on a particular hole.
Yeah, it's
only
always
for
had
the final. Only for the final.
It's had to add up correctly.
It just has to add up correctly. Now, of course, it's always easiest if you have the right score. But if I have a digital scorecard and a paper scorecard, and I keep it all right on my digital, and I just write whatever I want on the paper one, there's and I know this is let me get this straight.